storm.
Go, boys. Chase time, baby.
Where calculated risk serves two masters, fortune and failure. Fickle fate can temper a champion.
The reigning champion having trouble here.
And turn a dance with disaster into second best. It reminds everyone the chase is a riddle.
And Tony Stewart's out of fuel.
Just ran out.
Boyer can pick up the win.
That keeps you guessing.
Hamlin is trying to close.
Until the final lap.
Clint Boyer's your winner.
Come on, baby.
Oh, my goodness, what a finish.
Wow.
But like every tempest, devastation is felt in its wake. The wide open road leads to Dover. A fierce monster bent on destruction. Where victory rivals defeat on a knife's edge. So venture, gamble, go wide open. Because the only way to slay this beast is to run it down.
An ominous force lurks for those chasing the cup. A force that's created an incredibly popular mascot for an incredibly popular racetrack. When fans come to Dover, they stop for a picture at the statue, then come inside to see what the Monster Mile is going to dish out to the 43 drivers in today's race. For those chasing the championship and for any of the drivers getting ready to go, this will be a long, hard day, knowing that trouble's easy to find on this very fast track. As we get started with NASCAR Countdown, we look back to last Sunday. When we left you from New Hampshire, Clint Boyer was celebrating in Victory Lane at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway after leading almost two-thirds of the race. Boyer had enough fuel to finish when Tony Stewart didn't, and Kansas Clint scored his first win of the season, and what a timely victory it was. Boyer entered the chase as the 12 seed, and the victory shot him all the way up to second in the standings, just 35 points off the lead. But 3 days later, the story took an unusual twist.
Bombshell news story. NASCAR has dropped the hammer on Sunday's race winner, Clint Boyer.
A NASCAR stripped Clint Boyer of 150 points. Clint Boyer's Sprint Cup championship hopes are in serious jeopardy.
Following New Hampshire, 150 driver and owner's points.
Crew Chief Shane Wilson was fined $150,000 and suspended for the next 6 races.
In a standard follow-up inspection of the winner's car on Tuesday at NASCAR's R&D Center, Boyer's machine was found to have its body not placed on the car's frame in line with NASCAR's regulations. For more on that, let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and champion crew chief Tim Brewer. Tim?
Thanks, Alan. After NASCAR evaluated the car, they have several points on the car that they call the hard areas, and NASCAR has height requirements there. But after their inspection process, they deemed that the quarter panel over in this area was outside their allowable tolerance. Therefore, they imposed the penalty. NASCAR, they've done their job. Now, Childers, he's got to do his job in going through the appeals process. Alan?
All right, thanks, Tim. We'll talk more about the appeal in just a few minutes. The impact of the 150-point penalty given to driver Clint Boyer is huge. Clint goes from 35 points out of the championship lead to 185 points back, down in 12th spot again. Essentially everything he gained championship-wise at New Hampshire by winning, NASCAR has taken away because of the violation. The appeal of the penalties means crew chief and car chief Wilson and Haney are at the track. The appeal hearing is scheduled for this coming Wednesday. Joining us now is the owner of that 33 car, team owner Richard Childress. Richard, thank you for your time. Can you describe your emotions or attitude over this whole situation?
Well, I'm really disappointed for the fans, for our sponsors, everyone at RCR, and most of all Clint Boyer. You know, just like I said in my statement the other day, we know that the car left the shop legal. It was dead on the money. And how it got out, we don't know. We have our feeling that the way the wrecker was hitting on it and beating on it. But we were told they were going to take the car. We knew they were going to take the car, so it had been foolish for us and stupid for us to take a car that we knew that was going to be checked out.
You have appealed the decision, and the basis of your appeal is what, and how confident are you of getting some relief?
Well, just what I said, you know, we know the car lift legal. We know the car up there. We would have been out of the box to even think about taking the car. You know they're going to take after you were told they were going to take it, and that the wrecker beat the back bumper down on it. I mean, beat on the back bumper, knocked the quarter panel up.
Richard, you have two other cars in the chase. What type of effect is this having on your team and your championship effort?
Well, everybody's really pumped up. You know, it's just one of those things. If you stay in the sport long enough, you're going to go through these things, and it's just keeping everybody focused. We come up here to win the race, take the points home, and get all three of our cars, try to get them in the top 5 or top 10. That's all you can do, and race week in and week out and do our appeal, so we'll see how it comes out.
Brighter note, congratulations on your grandson Austin Dillon's win in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race last night in Vegas.
Yeah, I was really proud of him. He's doing a great job, that whole team with Danny Stockman and the Bass Pro Chevy truck there. I mean, you just can't beat what those guys are trying to prove this year as a bunch of rookies.
Richard, thanks for your time, and we'll follow the appeals process later on this week. Thank you again. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Richard Childress. And now we are joined by the president of NASCAR, Mike Helton, who's up in the control tower getting ready for the start of the race. Mike, thank you for your time. The New Hampshire race was a great, exciting event. Had a fun story with kind of the underdog Boyer winning and rising to second in points. Some would suggest that the violation you found on the 33 car was not a performance enhancer. So why did NASCAR penalize the 33 team?
Well, and that debate will go on quite a bit, I suspect. But the best way I can maybe help explain the reaction from NASCAR as it relates to how small maybe the dimensions that are being debated around is if fans that have followed the sport for a while, and understand the inspection process around the motor, where there's a lot of things that we can do with a motor at the racetrack, but the ultimate inspection is having to take it apart. This current chassis and car goes into that go or no-go area, much like motor dimensions get into. And so we can do a lot of inspection pieces at the racetrack, but we take the car back to the R&D center, have for the history of this current car and chassis. And we can do far more extensive measurements of the car. And it's a function of it either fits or it doesn't fit. And it's like speeding on pit road. It could be a 100th of a mile of an hour, but once you cross a line, it's a matter of go and no go. And so the reaction comes from simply just not fitting a hard dimension that we've used on these current cars and chassis.
You can understand probably how fans were confused that a car passed inspection at the racetrack on Sunday and didn't pass inspection at the R&D center on Tuesday. Can you explain to the fans why they should know this is not out of the ordinary?
Well, at the racetrack, again, I go back to comparing the body and chassis of this car to the motor inspection process that NASCAR's had for some time. There's a lot of things we can do at the racetrack, and there are a lot of things that the inspection process originates at the racetrack when an event is over with. Multiple cars will go through the weights and the height sticks and the different components that we do at the racetrack. But there are a few cars, in the case of New Hampshire, there were 2 cars, the 33 and another car that was randomly picked that goes back for more thorough inspection, particularly as it relates to the motor, which come out and get torn down. And then the car and the measurements at the racetrack are ground to surface type measurements, and where we measure the height of the car as it sits on the ground or the pads that we have at the racetrack. The inspection process when we get the car to the R&D center gets deeper into the measurements as this car is regulated to fit against the chassis. And that takes the moving of parts and pieces of the race car that's not reasonable to do at the racetrack. So there is a difference, and it's more thorough, and it is confusing and can be complicated, and it's a good opportunity to explain it. Unfortunately, under these circumstances, it gets a good deal more attention.
Yeah, probably a good deal more attention than you'd prefer. Only the winner's car went through this inspection on Tuesday versus, say, the rest of the top 5. So how do you reassure fans that the car that finishes second and third and so on aren't in this same condition?
Well, there's more than just a winner's car that goes through it. We had, I think, 2 cars that went through this process on Tuesday. And the second car, generally it's either success or by random. So a winner of a race is automatic. But there's also a random process that the garage area understands that they want to be right because they never know if their car is going to be taken by NASCAR back and go through this inspection, and there's a random process that chooses a second car. The rest of them are just in waiting, so to speak. They want to be right because they don't know if their car will ever go back, and that's part of the inspection process. It's pretty common in NASCAR.
My last question would be NASCAR's relationship with competitors. Richard Childress has been in this sport a long time. You had to penalize him this week. How does that affect your relationships with the teams as you work in the garage on a race weekend?
Well, I think it's all well understood. There's a fine line between personal and professional, but I think it is well accepted and understood in the garage area that there is a professional side, there's a personal side, but the entire garage expects us to transcend personal relationships and correctly regulate the sport and police it. And everybody in the garage understands that. And as Richard said earlier, if you're in the sport long enough, you're going to go through a cycle like this. But I think it's a function of NASCAR being very credible and responsible to its role of regulating the sport. And it's difficult because it's not easy to call up a guy like Richard Childress or any other owner that we've had, or drivers that we've had to call in the past on something like this and say something's not right. And have to react on that, but that's what we do, and that's our responsibility, and we take that serious.
Mike Kelton, president of NASCAR, thank you for the time, and hope we have a great race again today.
Thank you, Alan. Hope so too.
Thank you, Mike. Joined now in the pit studio by three-time Dover winner Rusty Wallace, NASCAR team owner Brad Daugherty. Let's talk about this whole big picture. Richard Childress says the car left the shop legally. It came off not legally. What are the possibilities something like this happened during the race?
It's a very good chance. I mean, any contact during the race might have caused this. I'm going to give the team the benefit of the doubt because I am a racer, and I know that things can happen during the race. So it could have happened during the race, and when they go through the appeals process, that's what they're going to have to bring up. Hey, the car was right when it got to the track, and after the race, we saw a little bit of damage, and that could have caused it.
You know, you hear them talking about the wrecker banging on the back end of the race car, and I just have a tough time believing that caused that damage because we see these race cars at Talladega and Daytona take severe beatings on that back bumper. I don't think that Richard Childress Racing came to the racetrack with the intentions of cheating. I think it was something that may have happened, may have been a little bit of an oversight, maybe a small mistake, which we're talking about hundreds of thousands of inches, so it could have been a little bit of a small mistake, and they got hammered on it because the rule is black and white.
As NASCAR phased in the new generation of race car, they went to this pass-fail approach to technical inspection, whereas in the past maybe some rulings were open to interpretation. Now this is the way it's going to be, good or not good. Do you agree with that approach, and why?
I do agree with the approach. I think NASCAR is doing a fantastic job inspecting these cars. They do have this no or go approach. My problem is these tolerances are so tight, it's unbelievable. When I was driving, those tolerances weren't that tight, and these guys have really got to fit that box perfect. So any damage can mess this thing up, and that's an ongoing discussion.
Well, I think the thing you have to realize is that with these tolerances, they do give a little bit of room, just like on pit road speeding, they give you the 5-mile-an-hour buffer. They give you a little buffer on some of these numbers. As an owner in this sport, I like it because that tells me that my competitors are going to be held to the same standards that I am. And it's all black and white. If I'm over by an incremental amount, I'm going to get hammered. If they're over by an incremental amount, they're going to be hammered. So there's no conspiracy theories. There's no judgments that are beyond that. The garage is rumors anyway, all the time.
All rumors.
All rumors. So you can get past all that. You know what it is black and white for my race team or Richard Childress' race team.
Let's talk about the appeal. There are 38 members of the National Stock Car Commission. Their names are listed in the rule book. They range from former competitors like Buddy Baker and Waddell Wilson to track operators to people with backgrounds in other areas of the sport. 3 will be selected to hear the appeal that'll be held this coming Wednesday. Before you signed on with ESPN, before you bought into a race team, Brad, you were in that pool of people to hear appeals. Yes. What will happen in that room Wednesday?
It's just like going to trial. You will, Richard Childress Racing will bring in the crew chief and car chief, and they will sit down and explain to these people on this panel, which is 3 people along with George Silberman, and talk about what happened, why these things happened, and the result of what happened. And they're going to give their side. They're going to talk about the damage and what that damage led to leading up to it with the result. Then when they go out of the room, Director of Competition, John Darby, will come in. He will sit down. He will talk about what happened, what they found, and how they came up with a penalty. You know, what they saw, how it fit the crime. They all go out of the room, and in about 3 hours period of time, there's a judgment levied by that appeals commission. Now, it can be either to withhold the ruling, uphold the ruling, or to add to the ruling. So it can go any number of ways. It's a very fair and just process, though.
Knock it down, add to it, or do something different.
Yes.
You've had a penalty as a team owner in the Nationwide Series overturned in your favor recently.
I went to the appeals commission and told them about what happened, walked through the entire process. I actually brought pieces and parts with me, and this is when it was all said and done. They said, Rusty, you're legal. And so I won. That was good.
Well, that's the only way you're really going to – if they're going to have to prove damage in this, I'll practice law without a license here, which I usually do. They're going to have to prove damage. If you can prove damage, you have a good chance of winning this. But in the rule book, it is black and white. And on that committee, you judge everything based upon it being black and white. There's no gray area. There's no this. So they're going to have a chance. It's got to be proven damage.
And what they're hoping for is a reduction of the rather severe penalties. Yeah. By the way, these penalties in line with penalties imposed on the 83 team last time a situation like this happened in October of 2008. 1999 to now, 132 appeals to the National Stock Car Commission, 2/3 of them upheld, 1/3 of them reduced or overturned, and a couple they actually added to the penalties. We'll see how it turns out this Wednesday. So given that he's now back 12th in points, how does Clint Boyer race from here? Let's ask. He's with Dave Burns.
Yeah, Clint wins, and then NASCAR calls foul, and then you don't qualify so well on Friday, and then your teammate stands up for the company's honor. Where's your head at going into 400 miles today?
It's been a wild week. The BB&C Chevrolet was fast. We were, second, third, or fourth, somewhere along in there. Friday's practice before qualifying, and just tightened up too much. Kevin went out and got real loose. We tightened up. It was way too tight to run our lap. So we're going to start in the back, but our car was very fast, second and happy hour. I think we can drive up through them. It's a fun racetrack. A lot of rubber down on the racetrack is going to be a big part of it today. Sun actually just crept out for a second, so that bouncing in and out of the clouds is going to, play a role on today. But just trying to get all this stuff behind us. It's very unfortunate, what happened this week. Obviously, we're appealing it. We've got our opinion on a lot of things, and hopefully, if we get a fair appeal, I think we can, at least put some things down that it raises suspicion. And we're talking about 60 thousandths of an inch. You're not talking about a huge margin of error there. And the one thing that Denny Hamlin said that actually made sense was he talked about in Atlanta his car getting pushed around the track and it knocked the whole deck lid off of it. I said, Denny, it didn't knock my whole deck lid off, it just knocked it off just a little bit. Is that possible? That's my only question.
Clint, do you have to win the appeal to win the chase?
To win the chase you do, but there's three of us to win the chase. It's important to bring that championship back to RCR. It's something that hasn't been done since Dale Earnhardt, and this is our best opportunity, and we got to work as a group to make sure that happens.
All right, thank you. Get focused. Good luck today.
David, thank you. Clint Boyer getting ready to go from 24th position on the grid. Now, Clint mentioned Denny Hamlin. Hamlin's press room comments over this whole tech inspection affair led to a boiling of tempers on and off the track on Saturday.
And here to give today's commands, Senior Vice President of AAA Mid-Atlantic, Mr. Mark Dickinson.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
All right, boss man, fire up. All right, man, fire it up. All right, bud, you can crank it up. Or give him hell, bud. Good luck. Thanks, buddy. All right, buddy, go ahead and fire it up. Engine's cranked. We got a copy. Kenny.
And while the cars warm up briefly on pit road, we look at the race within the race. The 12 drivers chasing the championship entering round 2 at Dover. Denny Hamlin, the point leader, but this is a race he's dreading. Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart do have some ground to make up, and they're at a place where historically they've run very, very well. Johnson with 5 wins here in Dover.
All right, we're getting ready to go green down the backstretch, and yes, you're not seeing things. It's 9 degrees on that straightaway. As we get ready to go, let's pick one guy outside the chase, because a chase guy has always won this race. Who do you think one of the non-chasers could be?
I'm going to just go as far as the outside of the front row with A.J. Allmendinger. He's had some good runs lately. That 43 car hasn't been to victory lane here at Dover since 1984 with the King. May be a possibility today.
Well, if I only get one, it'll be David Rudeman. He was fastest in one of the practice sessions yesterday and got a good car.
27 of the last 28 chase races have been won by chase drivers. We'll find out if that streak can get snapped. We're getting ready, and the second race, so the 2010 chase is green. Jimmy Johnson takes the early lead down into 3, followed by Allmendinger, then Martin Truex Jr. For a moment, they were 3 wide, about 12, 13 cars back. In that mix was Jeff Gordon. There is Greg Biffle, who's really high on his hopes for today. He's got Jamie McMurray underneath him. You're on board with Kurt Busch.
Started this race just a little tamer than last week. It was kind of chaos when that race started at New Hampshire, but you can't really have that kind of contact on this track.
Yeah, the speeds are much too high here to get yourself in that type of situation. These guys know this is a long 400 laps here today.
Jeff Gordon trying to get underneath the 83 of Reed Sorensen. Looks like he's going to be able to do it. Can he clear him coming out of the corner?
Well, this is an opportunity Jeff Gordon would like to really take advantage of here today. A great racetrack for him. He needs to go to victory lane.
I think you got it right. I think he needs a top 3 finish today to be a contender in this championship.
Move Gordon up to the 13th position. David Rudiman, who had a good car in practice, now going underneath the 83. And right behind him, here comes Matt Kenseth. And you were pretty high on Kenseth after watching him yesterday.
Kenseth looked good in practice also. This is a racetrack where he ran his first Cup start a number of years ago, but he's always been very solid here. If anybody else needs a good finish, they certainly do to try to climb back in this.
Casey Kane, Joey Logano also in that mix. And a little bit further back there, you see Clint Bowyer, as Bowyer has now moved up to the 19th position. He's picked up 5 spots already.
He had a fast car in practice before qualifying. They just did not get a good run when they did make their qualifying run. And he had a good practice session in happy hour, so he's going to be coming to the front.
Back up front it is Jimmy Johnson, A.J. Allmendinger, Martin Truex Jr., and a little bit further back, Juan Pablo Montoya and Denny Hamlin has dropped to 5th.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, I said on Friday that these guys kind of have the full court press on. They have to go out here and try to lead as many laps as they can today. They've got to take advantage of getting as many points as possible so they can climb back in the chase.
And just to let you know, as you see the cars streak by, one guy you said that also had to move was Tony Stewart. He is still 25th. He has not moved up. On board with Tony, and you see Jeff Burton there right behind him. They are 25th, 26th. Kevin Harvick has gotten up to the 28th position.
Yeah, that Jeff Burton, I watched his car yesterday in practice. It looked extremely good. As a matter of fact, I told Andy I thought that's who would win this race today based on what I saw in practice, that final practice yesterday.
Tony goes underneath Scott's speed. Here comes Burton following.
One thing, I talked to some of the crew members, crew chiefs this morning, and the unknown about this overcast on this racetrack is that how much rubber will this track take, because it takes a lot of rubber when the sun's out, not quite so much when the cloud cover's over. So we'll see how that affects the setups on these cars.
There you see the race leaders as they are on track after 8 laps with Jimmy Johnson ahead here at Dover. A race presented by Burger King. While we're in the commercial break, you notice that we have a lead change. A.J. Allmendinger has gotten around Jimmy Johnson. Let's take you back and show you exactly how it happened.
A.J. had been catching him. A.J. actually run a little different line. You can see Jimmy kind of lets him go right here. Kind of see what A.J.'s doing. This is not where A.J.'s been the fastest. He's letting his car, he's kind of diamonding this racetrack. And what I mean by that, he drives in a little high, goes up, and then cuts it back across the center of the corner as he on the exit. It's working really well. He's setting a torrid pace right now. Watch him right here. You can see the car goes up a little bit, and he's going to cut it back and almost clip the apron as he comes off.
Gets a big run down the straightaway doing that.
First laps led for Allmendinger here at Dover in his 8th start. He finished 14th back in May. Vince?
Well, A.J. says he feels like he's losing a little bit as he rolls the center, but otherwise pretty happy with the car. You know, it's one of the things with this 43, if you follow the sport, you know they've really picked it up over the course of the last month. He says he really feels like they've hit their stride because all the little things they've been working on are starting to finally make a difference. Dave Burns?
And Vince, Jimmy hasn't said anything yet about watching that line to the 43. In fact, he stays low in the groove, as you see right there, but the car just a little bit too loose for him at the start of this run.
And as you see the numbers on Jimmy Johnson there, let's check in on the 5 car of Mark Martin. Looked like he was going to have a great starting position. Then they had a mistake in the shock pressure and ended up starting in the back of the field, 42nd. You can see that he cycled up to 31st right now.
Gained 11 spots so far.
Another car that's back there, you see Casey Mears, also Brad Keselowski and We should tell you Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just a little bit further back. He's running in the 33rd position. There you see him at the top of the screen. Of course, coming off that great top 5 finish last week. Right now, been struggling most of the weekend here. Let's move a little bit farther forward in the field because Jeff Gordon is closing down on Ryan Newman. This is for 12th on the racetrack, and there he goes.
You see Jeff made that look pretty easy. His car looks to be handling really good, not giving anything up as far as they get a little bit of time on the tires. Good lap times for him.
Jeff has 4 wins, 21 top 10s, and 14 top 5 Dover finishes. And as you said, today he needs a big one. Make a statement going into the remaining races in the chase. David Rudiman right there now trying to put the pressure on the 39 as well. He's going to take the low line. Meanwhile, Mark Martin picks up another spot as he gets around Casey Mears. Move Mark to 29th. Our race leaders are now into traffic. You see Allmendinger trying to get around one of the slower vehicles. That's coming out of turn number 2. Jimmy Johnson's about 7/10 of a second back right now.
Interesting to watch how Allmendinger handles this traffic. Not led a lot of these races, so kind of new to him to be the first one to catch the lap traffic.
Yeah, Andy is thinking the exact same thing. And these guys coming up, he's not exactly sure. You know, they're not familiar with exactly what his driving techniques are and where he's going to be on this racetrack. So he'll have to do some adjusting. See Jimmy still right behind, and we'll watch Jimmy. He hasn't changed his line any. Of course, if you have a loose race car, it's a little bit more difficult to go up the racetrack and make any speed.
Well, you see Allmendinger get around the 55 of Mike Bliss as our race here at Dover, presented by Burger King, is now 25 laps old. We're going 400 miles today. We've traveled 33 of them so far, and there's your race leader, A.J. Allmendinger, by a full second over Jimmy Johnson. 2 other non-chase contestants, Martin Truex Jr. and Juan Pablo Montoya, 3rd and 4th. Greg Biffle has gotten around Denny Hamlin for 5th. And then rounding out the top 10, it's McMurray 7th, Kurt Busch 8th, Carl Edwards, and Paul Menard. Now, one group of cars that we want to sort of circle back and pick up on is 23rd, 24th, and 25th position. It's Kevin Harvick, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Burton. And Harvick's been the biggest mover of the bunch. Remember, he started back in 33.
Yeah, Harvick is coming on. His car looks pretty good. He's running that higher line here, kind of diamond in the racetrack, just like we talked about A.J. Allmendinger. Seeing cut it down to the bottom, but he's making it work really well. He's picked up 10 spots so far. Doc?
You know, talking with crew chief Gil Martin this morning, he said, you know, despite the fact that Kevin has never won a nationwide or Sprint Cup race here at Dover, he said this is one of his best racetracks. He said he never qualifies well, but we were really, really good in happy hour. Everything we did made the car better, even 2 tire stops. He said, basically, Doc, to sum it up, he said Kevin was happy Harvick in happy hour. Jamie?
Well, I talked to Darian Grubb, crew chief for Tony Stewart this morning, and I asked him about last week and running out of fuel, and I said, what do you guys do now? How do you race? He said, we are going for broke. It's all about wins, and that's what we're focused on. However, this isn't one of their best racetracks. Tony wasn't thrilled in practice, so they're just looking at making up some track position here and getting off strategy the second half of the race. Marty?
Well, but Tony did win this race in 2000 from a 27th starting position, and remember, he started 25th today, so the fans won't give up on home yet, as the caution is out here for the first time. And I do not see any vehicles in the wall. We're waiting for official word from NASCAR. So that 1.3 second lead for A.J. Allmendinger has just evaporated. Okay, here's the word that we have gotten from NASCAR. The cover on one of the caution lights has come loose on the backstretch, and they want to get that attended to before it falls onto the track.
Yeah, we've seen that happen. I think it was California Speedway. We saw one of those things fall down. Lucky it didn't hit a race car, but it can be extremely dangerous, so they need to take care of that.
Pits are closed. That's what that flag signifies. Biggest mover so far, Mark Martin today. He has picked up 14 spots up to the 28th position.
These cars make, these bigger cars today make so much more wake when they go by that there's a lot of turbulence, and that's what blows a lot of these caution lights and the covers off. We actually, that whole caution light came off in California one time.
So completing 39 laps. Looks like everybody's loaded, ready to go. Would you gamble at all on track position and maybe just do 2 tires there, crew chief?
Well, it depends on where I'm at. If I was in the back, I probably would. If I'm AJ Allmendinger, I'm going to get 4 tires right here, reset, and go again.
Yeah, I don't think this had never been a place that 2 tires worked all that well, especially after you've got about almost 40 laps on the tires here, which is about half of a fuel run.
There is the crew right there going up to check on that light that we were talking about and the cover that they are worried about coming loose. So while all that's going on, pit road has opened up. And AJ Allmendinger does lead the pack on down, and we get ready and send it down to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Thanks, Marty. Martin Truex says the car is snappy, loose in the corner. He can't roll the center of the corner. It's very, very loose. They're going to go down, air pressure, down around on the track bar. Actually, trying to add air pressure in the rear, down around on the track bar to fix it. Vince.
The 42 of 1, Pablo Montoya, top of the screen, says it's a little tight. He's got a vibration in the right front also. That's making a 4-tire change with an air pressure adjustment. The 43 of AJ Allmendinger, your leader, pretty good on entry, a little loose off. Just 4 tires, no changes. Dave?
Second place, Jimmy Johnson. His car went to the tight side. They made a track bar adjustment. They had some trouble, I believe, on the left side, and he's going to lose a bunch of spots.
He certainly is, Dave. As you see the Longhorn Steakhouse race off pit road. Greg Biffle, the big winner, +2. Johnson, the loser, at -3. But AJ Allmendinger's crew has done the job again, and for the 2nd week in a row, he is up front and having a great day. Tony Stewart took 2 tires, had the best time. Look at Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson's 15.3 second stop. You can see how much off that is of those top cars that hit pit road that time.
3 waiver rounds. Nemechek, Bliss, McDowell. The 34 of Travis Kvapil gets the lucky dog. Restart, AJ Allmendinger. He's taking the low line right alongside Truex, Biffle, Montoya, and Johnson. Here we go.
A little bit of a wiggle there from the 48 cars he got down into turns 1.
On board with Kurt Busch. That's Denny Hamlin on the high side. So far, Hamlin's having the kind of race he's been dreaming about.
Yeah, he's been able to get himself kind of in a comfort zone there on both of the starts here. See Martin Truex really wanting this lead from AJ Allmendinger.
Putting the pressure on. They head down towards 3. Just about a car length separates first and second. Here comes Kurt Busch on the inside of the 48. Jimmy tries to slam the door and does. A little further back, Joey Logano gets around Tony Stewart. Maybe the 2 tires might not be working.
Yeah, we'll have to see that because all of these other guys have 4, and I think Tony's in a big trouble right there. Really loose.
Look how far back Kevin Harvick is. And remember, they were running together, but Harvick took 4 tires. Tony took 2.
Everybody took 4 tires. Tony Stewart was the only one I saw that took only the 2 tires, so he is going to be in trouble.
Brad Keselowski right in front of him. David Reagan also in that mix in the 6 car. Jeff Burton just ahead of them. Sam Hornish got a little close to the 83 going into turn number 3. On board with Tony with Casey Kane right behind him, running 16th.
I think those guys had to think that some others would have to be getting 2 tires and they might get a little buffer from all of those other cars that might have got 4 in behind them, but so far it's not working out. But Tony's doing a pretty decent job with it now that the air pressures have built up a little in those right sides.
Jeff Burton putting pressure on Sam Hornish Jr. as they go down into the corner. 39 gets a little high. Ryan Newman. Burton looks to the inside. Still not enough room. David Rudiman putting the pass on. Here goes Burton as well at the same time.
I think maybe Burton might have had to make some changes to that car. Yesterday, we were talking about they were so good in practice. We had a hot, sunny day, and I think that the overcast conditions, cooler temperatures on this racetrack may have thrown them for a little bit of a curve, but it looks like they made a nice adjustment now.
Check in on Kevin Harvick as he's got Reed Sorensen right in front of him. As we've now hit the 50-lap mark here at the AAA 400 at Dover. Tony, or I should say Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch still going after each other. That is for 6th.
Kurt been up beside Jimmy trying to make a pass on him, but wasn't able to do that. Looks like Jimmy's car's coming around to him now. Oh, pretty close here. Look,
Yeah.
watch out.
That's a wreck.
Watch out.
Newman gets into the double O, and Ruderman has heavy damage on the right rear quarter. Second caution of the day is out. And a tough break for Ruderman because he had a good race car going. He was 18th at the time.
Right rear quarter panel's killed here, Rodney.
I think he may go pay Mr. Newman a visit right here.
So our second caution out here on lap number 52.
Front end knocked out of line, everything's killed, dude.
You heard him say everything is killed on the car.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard lick.
Let's go back and take another look, guys.
Yeah, it looks like, you know, Newman's pretty free getting in the corner. Not a lot of room between them. But Newman has to make that just that slight correction.
Yeah, with the speed you carry off into these corners and the lack of grip that you have from the concrete surface, see right here happen.
It's definitely Ryan Newman's fault.
Back to the 31. Inside, clear, all clear.
Tough break because he's coming off a 7th place run back in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and they were really looking forward. Andy had mentioned that they were really fast in practice yesterday. They were looking forward to this race. Just unfortunate to have it taken away right there. But the responsibility of that inside driver is you have to make sure that your car's under control as you go off in the corner.
Well, as we get ready to head to a commercial break, we'll tell you that Michael McDowell is off the track. So is J.J. Yelly, Conway, Blaney is officially out. And it looks like Ruderman could be also.
Say that with a smile.
Don't comment. Kevin Harvick, some troubles on pit road a minute ago, Doc.
Yeah, and his car is great. His crew may not be. That's Jonathan Billy we're showing you there. He's the rear tire changer. He got tangled up with a fueler on that first stop and fell on his right wrist now and the right thumb area. They're going to put some ice on it. When he fell, the gun came down on top of his wrist. He's able to move the thumb okay. He has a full range of motion. This doesn't have as much strength as he'd like to have. Now, they have a backup, Tim Latiga, standing by, but they want Jonathan to get the job done because he is very, very quick on pit road, and they got a shot at maybe winning this thing today.
Doc, thanks. A.J. Allmendinger out front and kind of enjoying things.
If you're wondering, Mike, it's kind of fun leading. We should try this more often. I'm in 100% agreement with you.
As we get ready to go back to green flag racing, it is Allmendinger leading them down from the inside. Truex, Biffle, Montoya, Hamlin, that's your top 5, and Truex going for the lead.
He's going to get it. You have to stay on the right rear corner, but you can see AJ is able to power up coming out of turn 2.
Let me update one other thing. Great news for David Ruderman fans. He was able to stay on the lead lap. They pounded out. He's wounded, but he's not done. He's back in the race. Clint Boyer side by side with the 20 car, Logano.
The boy got a nice run off of 2, made that thing stick right on the bottom in 3.
He had to change 3 lanes down the backstretch to get position, getting into turn 3.
That's for 13th. You see Carl Edwards, Paul Menard right in front of him. And Kevin Harvick just a few cars back.
You can see Boyer got into the left rear of Logano just a little bit there.
Ryan Newman still on that high side. Casey Kane looking to take a look underneath. Then Harvick right behind them. Right after Harvick, you've got Tony Stewart, Jeff Burton, so you have 3 chase contenders still basically trying to work their way back towards the front. Let's check in on Jeff Gordon. And the first time today, we've actually been able to mention Kyle Busch's name as he made history yesterday in the Nationwide Series with his 11th win of the season. He could also make history 2 ways today if he were to complete the sweep.
Yeah, and you can see Matt Kenseth found his way up in the top 10 just in front of Carl Edwards there. Have to keep an eye on him all day. Matt's really good, especially as these races go on longer throughout the day. Seems to have a good handling car today.
Kenseth has had top 4 finishes the last 5 Dover races, and he was 3rd back in May. He likes this track. Juan Pablo Montoya and Greg Biffle going after each other. Biffle has been true to his word, says he's had a good car, although right now he's going to surrender the position to Montoya, so move Juan Pablo up to 3rd. And here's the irony for you guys. 3 non-chase contenders leading this race right now. And this race has traditionally been won, always been won by a chase contender since the championship started, that format.
I think there's a reason these guys are in the chase. They're able to adjust their cars really good. See Biffle really get on Jimmy Johnson's rear bumper and quarter pound. Got him a little bit loose now, trying to take that spot back away, Vince.
Yeah, Greg Biffle not 100% happy with his car, although he says it's not bad, but they definitely are already talking about adjustments they're going to make on the next stop. However, Biffle coming into this race, they felt like this was a real opportunity for them. Crew Chief Greg Irwin said this race and the next 2 they feel like will give them an opportunity to get in position to strike in the second half of the chase. This is a big race for Biffle in the 16.
Well, just to support you there, Vince, Biffle scored more points at Dover in the last 10 races than any other driver. That's how good he's been.
Yeah, that's what these drivers and teams do. They point to certain tracks that they know that these are opportunity races for them. You can't be good everywhere, even though Jimmy Johnson has in the past looked like he is. But Greg Biffle and his team know that they have to strike here early and try to take advantage of this.
Trying to strike right now, Kurt Busch underneath the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Here we go. And Kyle is going to follow Big Brother.
Yeah, he might lose more than a couple of spots here because you got Jeff Gordon right there, Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards all lined up behind him.
A couple more moments, this will start feeling like a parade to Denny. And he's on the sidelines watching.
Yeah, you're right, Andy. He could lose 4 or 5 spots before all of this is over, but he's able to settle in behind his teammate right now.
So he's limited the damage, at least for the moment. Give you an idea of where they are in relationship to the race leader, A.J. Allmendinger. He's led more laps today than he had in his previous 107 starts combined. No wonder he likes this idea of being out front. Here at our NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race at Dover, presented by Burger King. Dinger's lead over Martin Truex, 1.8 seconds. There's the margin there. And there's Jimmy Johnson, 3.9 seconds behind the leader. And Juan Pablo Montoya closing down on him quickly. A little further back. Let's keep an eye on this because remember it was Newman that sort of slid into David Reutemann. Reutemann's now 1 lap down and he can't even keep up. I mean, that's how much damage there is to the car. And Harvick's going to go by him as well. So no retaliation from David when he had the 1 chance. And Casey Kane comes through as well. And here comes Jeff Burton. And right behind, Jamie McMurray. And McMurray trying to rebound from that last round of pit stops. He's up to 19th.
I think they must have wanted to make some adjustments on this 1 car, get some tires back on it, see if they could help it out a little bit as the sun's come out, Dave.
Well, yes and no, DJ. I kind of listened to him on the radio, and you got the feeling that they weren't sure they really did want to pit. The car was a little bit loose, but it wasn't way out of control. So once they hit pit road, they took their 4 tires, made an air pressure adjustment, and Jamie's been fighting his way back. He did just radio in. It's a lot better.
And what we just noticed also was Jeff Burton making room for him and obviously not having the car he needs under him right now.
Well, with the combination of the adjustment and like 10 or 12 lap fresher tires, he's able to go buy some really good cars here.
And it's still early in this race to have a big battle. Let's get an update on the 31, Jamie.
Well, Jeff Burton was really quick in practice, guys, especially final practice where he was 3rd overall. Talked to the team this morning. They said we would be really disappointed if we didn't have a top 3 finish. Well, Jeff Burton didn't do his part on qualifying, didn't go as planned. He ended up qualifying 27th. And the car right now, back there in traffic, not very good. He's loose, and he's not very good on the long run. They need to get this car better if they want to move up, Marty.
A little bit further back behind Jeff, there is Tony Stewart as he is still trying to fight his way towards the front, running in the 20th position.
See just that little bit of sunshine shining on the track. It's heating up a little bit. Trying to figure out maybe who is benefiting from this. Looks like maybe Jimmy Johnson his car's a little bit better with the sun on the track.
And that sun's a blessed relief because there was the potential for some of that 4-letter wet stuff that we don't want to mention. It's to the north of us right now. Dave, give us an update.
We know the 48 car started out front on the pole today, and it was one of the conversations I had with Chad Knaus this morning. You've led in the last 3 races 794 laps, so you kind of tune your car to be out front, right? And he's kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, it's a huge difference if you run out front all the time compared to how you tune your car if you're back in the pack. So, Andy, they restarted 6th. I don't think that's really back in the pack. How far back in there would they have to be before Chad got a little nervous about having to retune his car to be in traffic?
Yeah, well, 6 isn't that bad, but that is a place that you can find yourself with the car not working like it would up front. I mean, you need that clean air on the nose. He's up there in 3rd spot. I think he's in a good spot. I mean, no place is any better for Chad Knaus in the lead. That's where he wants this car, but the car looks really good right now.
One of the things I saw that was interesting before the start of the race, Chad was actually adding the tape that he wanted specifically where it was on the front of that race car. Kevin Harvick now, as we tune in on his progression, setting sights on the 39 of Ryan Newman for 15th.
Yeah, he's gained 17 spots since the start of the race, so Harvick's having a good run.
Largest gainer has been Mark Martin. We'll let you know Mark is running 22nd right now. He started 42nd. All right, let's go back and check in on our race leader, because A.J. Allmendinger has now opened up a 2.3-second margin over Martin Truex Jr. You want to see how big a lead that really looks like from 1st to 2nd? Well, there it is, and here's what we heard on Martin's radio.
Yeah, Martin is saying that apparently he hit some debris when he was passing a car, maybe the 00 car a few laps ago. And as soon as he hit the debris, he picked up a vibration. That has Pat Bryson concerned, because as you guys know upstairs, any vibration is a bad vibration at these speeds in Dover, Delaware.
And the one thing I worry about when he says vibration is that, you know, loose wheel be the first thing you think of. But here at Dover, you worry about, you know, maybe chunking that right front or something like that. So you'd be worried about that. You're watching the lap times really close. You see Pat Price, and he's watching that monitor. If he sees that lap time fall off, he'll call him in the pits. But so far, so good for the 56 car.
In fact, his last lap was actually a half-second quicker than race leader A.J. Allmendinger, so he's cut it down to under 2 seconds.
Yeah, the thing is, if he looks in his mirror, he's going to see Jimmy Johnson coming pretty fast at him, though.
Let's check back in on Kevin Harvick and Jamie McMurray, because McMurray is closing now on Harvick. This is for 16th.
Yeah, probably far enough into the run now that those tires that Jamie McMurray has on his car that are a little fresher than a lot of these cars that he's catching right now is really starting to make a big difference. Dave?
He thinks he may have a problem, though. He radioed to his guys, I got a vibration, be ready.
It can cause that same kind of maybe a vibration that they feel in the steering wheel that may not be their car.
And remember, Kyle Busch even talked about a vibration late in yesterday's race that he won in the Nationwide Series. A.J. Allmendinger slicing and dicing his way under Scott's speed, as he is our race leader right now, and it's back up over 2 seconds. 2.1 seconds over Martin Truex, Jimmy Johnson, Montoya, and here at Dover. Our race is presented by Burger King.
The Monster Mile provides quite a challenging atmosphere for the pit crews to work at. Look, the cars are above them on the racetrack coming by. The noise is deafening. And yet in that environment, that tight confines of the pit road that's noisier than most others, got to get it done. Got to be happy with the results when it's all done, and their man is headed back to continue the chase. And the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. We check out the standings now as we work about a quarter of the way through today's race at Dover. Jeff Gordon's crew leading the standings for the year, but you can help determine the outcome. Vote for him on your AT&T phone by texting the car number of your choice to 2258 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. 1 quarter into today's race, A.J. Allmendinger has been the dominator so far after Jimmy Johnson led 13 laps and David Gilliland led one on an exchange of cautions. It is the Dinger that has been out in front as we close in on another set of green flag pit stops. As for Jimmy Johnson, he's had a little hiccup on his pit stop earlier in the race. He's back in third now. He's picked his way forward a few spots after the troubles on pit road. And wasn't there a conversation in our booth a minute ago about rubber buildup? Listen.
Starting to get a little inconsistent in and off. I think the rubber's starting to build up. That's what's causing that. So I've been searching around a little bit. Still a little snug in the center.
And with Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty, how you hit the rubber that's laid down on the racetrack going into the corner. You drivers really have time to look at that when you're charging into these turns at 170?
Well, the groove's constantly changing throughout the day, especially here at Dover, Delaware. The track's getting really black out there. The tire that Goodyear Tire Rubber Company brought here is laying a lot of rubber down, and as the conditions get hotter, I mean the track heating up because of the sun, it's going to lay more rubber down yet. So it's going to be a concern. It's something they got to negotiate throughout the day, but it can cause vibrations the way the tire rubber gets on the tires.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is we talked about it earlier today in our show is the rubber that's already there on the racetrack that's been ground in. With the cool temperature, it has an ability to come back up and get stuck back on and adheses to the tires. So the guys are going through a lot trying to figure out how to get good solid laps without letting that rubber adjust how they run those laps.
Race for 8th and 9th here. Denny Hamlin in 8th, Jeff Gordon in 9th. Reminder that most of the front runners, as Kevin Harvick goes by Clint Boyer to pick up a spot there, 14th and 15th positions. Reminder, most of the front runners pitted at lap 40. And then we've got another schedule of about 13 cars that pitted at lap 53. So we're going to see some green flag pit stops in the very near future for most of the front runners, and that's when things get a little dicey here where strategy and caution flags are concerned.
Tell you what, I've been really impressed with Kevin Harvick. I've been watching him. He's qualified 33rd. He's already up to the 14th position right now. Clint Boyer didn't qualify well either. He's right there. So a big resurgence from qualifying for the Richard Childress teams. Jamie, you're looking pretty good out there.
He is. He's kind of stuck in his position right now, trying to move up, but they're staying in that 14th position. Now, a lot of people wanted to know, part of the penalty was losing his crew chief, Shane Wilson. You see him on the right for 6 races, as well as the car chief, Chad Hannay. Now, because they're appealing it, the crew chief is back to business here this weekend. However, if it is upheld this week, Shane Wilson will be suspended and the car chief for 6 weeks, and it will be Scott Miller, the competition director, taking over. But business as usual this weekend, Marty.
All right, thank you, Jamie. And as Kevin Harvick continues to pull away from Clint Boyer, his teammate, right in front of Harvick is his next target, which would be Paul Menard. And what's going to get interesting here is, as we're looking at the leaderboard, Denny Hamlin's in 8th position. Harvick is only 6 cars back, and he will be the first of the RCR teammates to run into Mr. Hamlin, perhaps.
Yeah, they had a little run-in in practice yesterday, so looks like Denny's coming backwards, and the 29 is definitely going forward.
As we mentioned, that's Paul Menard right in front of him, and then the 17 also right up there with Matt Kenseth. Let's check back in on Tony Stewart. It's not been the kind of day that he has wanted. He's in 22nd position. And to give you an idea of how desperate this could become here pretty soon, the race leader, A.J. Allmendinger, is clicking off some laps, and there he is. So he's got about a straightaway before he's going to go a lap down, perhaps.
Well, he made a mistake. They should have taken 4 tires, and they took the 2 tires. They found out now that was a mistake. They'll just have to weather this storm until they can get 4 tires back on the car, and they may go a lap down. They may have to work their way back on the lead lap, but they won't give up.
Yeah, he's within about 5 seconds of being lapped, and their only salvation could be, and we're getting into a long run here. We've seen in the past, you get in those long runs, right front tires tend to go away. May see somebody have that problem, and that could benefit them.
Yeah, you find somebody trying to push the issue just a little bit with that right front. This is one of those tracks that just puts so much load on the right front corner that you can't abuse that tire without blowing it out.
Kevin Harvick got around the 98 of Paul Menard. Boyer tried, but Menard shut the door quickly. That is lap traffic also in front of him there in the 34 of Travis Kvapil. Kvapil gives way for all the cars to come through. And Boyer sliding under the 98 as well.
Harvick's got a good car, but Harvick's also driving the heck out of that race car. I've watched him. He's had this thing dancing around as he's getting down in the corner, so he's really working hard, but that's what we've come to expect from this team and the driver.
Yeah, you just saw Kvapil hit the wall right there, right in front of those guys.
Kvapil is in 36 right now. He is 2 laps down to the race lead. Jamie McMurray getting around him now, and here comes Jeff Burton as well. And whose radio was that? I couldn't tell who that voice was, but did I hear fuel?
A.J. Allmendinger coming to pit road. He had about a 3.4 second lead before this round of pit stops. We'll see how the crew does after they run through the cycle.
Well, he last pitted on lap number 40. We're working lap 113 right now. 35 miles an hour is snail's pace here at Dover.
That's agonizingly slow. He's coming towards you, Vince.
That's right, and boy, that drive to pit lane is so slow for these guys. But the crew chief reminded him, Mike Shiplett, have a good, smooth stop. He says the car's getting a little darty in the front end, but they're still not going to make any changes. They're going to just go with 4 fresh Goodyear tires and fill it up full of Sunoco fuel. Jamie.
And Tony Stewart, as you guys talked about, took right sides only on lap 40. He says he's tight center off. He couldn't wait to get in here and get 4 fresh tires for Tony Stewart. Doc?
Matt Kent is coming in for his second scheduled stop. Matt, the former Dover winner here, saying the car is loose all the way through the corner. They had made a track bar adjustment on the first stop, air pressure. This time they're going to top it off with Sunoco fuel, 4 more tires, more chassis adjustment, trying to get the car tightened up, particularly in the middle of the corner. Dave.
Paul Menard had been running 14th. Jamie McMurray had been running 16th. Menard says I need to turn better in the corners, so they'll make an adjustment for that. As for Jamie McMurray, he said he was loose in, and on landing, it was tight at the 3/4 mark. They'll make a wedge, adjustment on McMurray as well. Vince.
There's the 18 of Kyle Busch. They made an adjustment with the car early. Felt it was a little bit too loose, but they liked it better on the second run. 4 tires for Kyle. There's the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He started to slip back. They made an air pressure adjustment in both rear tires. Went with 4 fresh Goodyears and filled it up with Sunoco fuel.
And the pit stops continue. See Jimmy Johnson at the bottom of your screen as he is getting his service, Dave.
His car was inconsistent in and off. You heard about that on the radio. Tight in the center is what they'll go to work on for Jimmy Johnson. Air pressure adjustment for him. And this time, boy, still a little bit of a stumble there. Didn't look really clean. 15-second stop, guys.
Martin Truex was the race leader, but as he has made his stop, he surrendered the lead to Joey Logano. There is Truex getting his service finished up. Kurt Busch also in right now, Dave.
2-car of Kurt Busch during that last run, still loose. They were going to just do air pressure, but Kurt said, you know what, it's going kind of crazy on me, so he wanted a track bar adjustment as well. 2 adjustments for the 2-car. Doc?
Leader Joey Logano on pit road, so the car is tight in the middle. We're going to make a 4-tire change. Air pressure on Joey. What a difference a year makes. Remember a year ago, he tumbled his car over and over here on lap 31. He comes in this time, just past the 100 lap mark as the leader. Dave.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. also came out. We're getting a report that the 14 of Tony Stewart may have been too fast entering. We're waiting for full confirmation.
He already
is, yes. And yes, he did. So he's already served it as well as he made his pass through. And there is A.J. Allmendinger as he is trying to slice his way underneath the double O of Rudeman and now around Mark Martin. Reed Sorensen is your race leader right now. He has not yet made his pit stop. In fact, we have 4 cars on the lead lap. Sorensen, Bobby Labonte, Allmendinger, and Scott Speed. So coming in early has paid some dividends for A.J. Allmendinger.
Crew did a great job. A 12.9-second pit stop.
All right, let's go back and show you Tony Stewart. Too fast entering.
This is one of the most difficult entrances to pit road. Oh yeah, he's way fast right there.
And remember, we told you it's 35 miles an hour, and there are timing zones. And if it's not the average of all those zones, it's in each zone. Back on board with Tony as he now tries to work his way back towards the front again. And now race leader Reed Sorensen, our 6th different leader, is coming in. Vince?
Sorensen started the race 12th. He was 27th last week at New Hampshire. Says the car's not too bad. It's a little bit loose. Heard that a lot today. Guys dealing with a handful of cars, especially loose on exit. They're going to make a 4-tire change. Also an air pressure adjustment on the 83 of Reed Sorensen.
Bobby Labonte on the right side of your screen is your race leader right now. He got the lucky dog on the last caution and right now leads A.J. Allmendinger by 8.7 seconds. But remember, he still has to make a stop. Bobby last pitted, just in case you're wondering why he's able to go these many more laps. Last pitted on lap 54, and you can see we're working lap 124. Now we'll show the interval back to A.J. Allmendinger, who will inherit the lead again once that Bobby takes his pit stop. And right behind him, of course, Mark Martin. But Mark is a lap down in 24th. Martin Truex will be shown right now currently in 3rd position. He's another 6 seconds behind A.J. Allmendinger. So Allmendinger really won in this round.
He did a good job getting to pit road. The pit crew did a great job changing 4 tires, and he got back out on the racetrack. Like you said, he stretched that lead. We were just wondering how this team would react to being the leader, coming down pit road. They actually extended that 3.5-second lead to 6 seconds. So great job.
Here comes Allmendinger going around Brad Keselowski. And for Bobby Labonte, well, it's good to see him back out front. The 2000 Cup champion. Believe it or not, his first of 609 starts was here back in 1991. And after 126 at our race presented by Burger King, Bobby Labonte is your leader. Here at the Monster Mile, A.J. Allmendinger's led more laps today than he has his entire Cup career, and his crew did the job for him, getting him back out in front. His lead when he came in versus when he came out. And Andy, you mentioned it. He could play a big spoiler role today.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? He would love that, I'm sure. See right there, 3.5 seconds before the pit stop, and after the pit stop, this is a current 5.5 deficit that that we see that Martin Truex has. So, team doing a really good job on pit road.
Let's reset it for you. It's behind Allmendinger and Truex. It's Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, then Kyle Busch, Juan Pablo Montoya, Denny Hamlin 7th, Kenseth 8th, Edwards 9th, and Biffle rounding out your top 10. We've got a total right now of 19 cars on the lead lap. And let's get an update on the 48 car who's in 3rd place. Let's listen in on the radio.
The car gets a lot more responsive after 3 or 4 laps. First few laps, it just doesn't do much right.
10-4, man. We really got to try to work traffic a little bit faster, man.
Thought I was doing a good job this time.
Negative on the good job there. No, they're going through traffic still about 2 tenths faster lap than we are. The 2 cars need a second on us here.
You get an idea that's something that Jimmy and Chad had talked about. Remember what I said at the beginning of this broadcast? Jimmy's words were, we've got to be spot on in every way. Apparently that means working traffic as well.
Well, I mean, and they're talking about just 1/10 of a second. How about you like to be Tony Stewart right now? Let's update you on him. He's 31st, 2 laps down. The speeding penalty, deadly. There he is right there, and you can see he's in 31st position. Total of 7 cars are either off track or behind the wall. Let's go to speeds at the line next time by. Let's find out after the pit stops who really has the fastest car out there right now. Here comes our race leader.
Cars get kind of strung out after you make a green flag stop, so it's hard to tell really who is the best car. This is the best way to look at it.
And remember, he's got this 6-second lead. There it is. And Truex is quicker. Now Johnson.
I think Chad must have got Jimmy's attention. About the last 3 laps, he's been faster than the leader has.
Denny Hamlin.
And look at Edwards.
Remember, we told you 19 cars on the lead lap. There's Ryan Newman, and here comes our race leader again. So this one far from over, but right now, A.J. Allmendinger. Do you realize this is the most laps the 43 car has led since Bobby Hamilton led 331 at Martinsville back in 1996?
Well, we've been seeing a lot of improvement with this race team, and I think it all started whenever they all got on board. You can see the car a little bit loose right there. But they all got on board with what they were going to do next year. I think that you get that kind of situation, then it really helps everybody to know what they're looking for and what they can do as a team, Vince.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one of the things AJ's talked about as this team has started to become a little bit more solidified. They're becoming more familiar with the Ford program. You know, some of those things that we talked about earlier, the little things that are starting to come together now that end up making what we see as a big difference. But right now, AJ says the car is a little less likable than he's had earlier in the race. Feels like it's much looser. Doesn't feel like he's got near the grip he had early on. He definitely does not like it, at least as compared to what he's had the first couple of stints.
Yeah, and you talk about that. This racetrack is going to continue to change, and each set of tires that you put on there, Andy, makes the car a little different, so he's just going to have to be patient here.
Well, it's all kind of relative, too. He's had Mark Martin right on his bumper since he came out of the pits, and Mark's got a fast car. He had to start in the back, and he found himself a lap down, but if you look at his lead, it's still 6 seconds. over the second place car. So he's doing pretty well against who he's racing. And just looking at Mark Martin going by makes him think his car's not very good. Man, look at that 42 car get sideways.
Yeah, Montoya's climbing up the track as well. Looks a little bit like Allmendinger's car as far as the loose condition. And 17 and Matt Kenseth trying to take advantage. And there's just a few laps ago.
Whoa. Yeah. I've seen him climbing the banking more and more, but that's getting out of the groove. And you can see just throwing up those marbles, which are little pieces of rubber up there. Not a place that you want to tread very often. Another thing that I saw here is we talk about this 17 car. They report he was a little bit loose. They get him tightened up a little bit. Pit crew once again did a fantastic job. Get him fallen outside of the top 10. Now he's back up in the 8th.
He hasn't won a race since last year, and I know he's very hungry. And if he's going to win a race this year, this is probably his best track of what we have left.
Well, there you see two of the Roush Fenway Racing drivers. You got Matt Kenseth, and then the 99, of course, of Carl Edwards. 3 of the top 4 drivers in points earned here at Dover in the last 10 races are from Roush Fenway Racing. They have done well here. And here comes the 99 of Edwards underneath Juan Pablo Montoya. So Montoya, if Edwards can complete the pass, he'll be bumped back now to the 9th position. Move Edwards up to 8th. Clint Bowyer trying to take over a spot from Jamie McMurray. Bowyer 15th, McMurray 14th. And since the restart, Jamie's been the biggest mover. He's picked up 9 positions. You see Harvick 7.
Well, we've made a green flag pit stop now since the last restart. He took tires when some other cars didn't. He gained a lot of spots on that green flag run. Now that he's kind of stabilized on the same tires as everybody else, you see some of these good cars now going back by him. Those 2 Childress cars just getting by.
All right, let's check in on Denny Hamlin. He's now currently running in the 6th position, doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and we were wondering how would he handle this day at a place that's kind of been his nemesis. He's doing exactly what he needs to. He's sitting in the 6th spot right now. He's really not close to Kyle Busch. He's about 3 seconds behind him, who is his teammate up in the 5th spot. But Matt Kenseth is a little over a second behind him. So just kind of in a safe zone there, putting down some laps, waiting for the end of the race. Vince?
Yeah, you know, talking with Mike Ford before the race, he said one of the problems they've had here is that they've not been able to keep up with the car and with the track. He sees what they have at the beginning of the race seems to be okay, but they can't keep it good throughout the course of the race, and he's just not really sure why. They've had a little bit of a handling issue so far earlier today, but I think at this point, guys, they look at where they are, and as we talked about throughout the course of the race, if they can just get a decent finish here, they really like their chances the rest of the way. We haven't seen any of those RCR cars give them any problems, which we thought might be a case earlier too. They haven't got to him yet, but right now I think at 11, even though it's not great, they still got to be fairly satisfied with where they are.
Well, I'll give you an idea just how satisfied they'd be if this would just fold out and walk out of here the way it is. He'd still have the points lead, and I guarantee if you talked to him before the race started, he'd be happy if he was just in 2nd place, close to the lead. So this race still, though, long from over. And up front, it's A.J. Allmendinger. His lead is still 5.3 seconds. A race presented by Burger King. Back here at Dover, as you see, we're working lap 158 of 400, and the race leader is A.J. Allmendinger. He's led 129 so far. We've had 7 different leaders with 8 lead changes. But the big story during the commercial break involves that man right there. A bad week has gone worse. Watch what happened to Clint Bowyer.
It's starting to fall back just a little bit. You can see just how loose he gets coming out of 2. Saves it till right there. A lot of damage to that 33.
Jamie, you've got more?
Well, Clint came on the radio and said, I just got really loose. I hit the wall by myself. He said he has a fender rub, but Mike Dillon, his spotter, said, man, you look fine. I don't see any damage. Just stay out, stay smooth. We're in the lucky dog position. Let's just keep it here and get back on the lead lap.
That's right. He is 1 lap down right now, although that battle with Reed Sorensen is for the lucky dog position. He is in 20th right now. Jeff Gordon, as you can see, got around Juan Pablo Montoya. They've been going after each other for a few laps. Moved Jeff up to the 9th position.
I think Jeff Gordon's doing exactly what he needs to. He continues to move forward throughout the day. Got a pretty decent car. Still have to make some adjustments if they want to challenge for a win here today.
Well, if you're a Jamie McMurray fan, there's bad news. He just went a lap down. A.J. Allmendinger has put him down. He is running in the 19th position. And here comes Joey Logano closing in on Greg Biffle, as Biffle has been sliding back after this last round of stops. Not happy with his car. This is a battle for 11th on the track.
Yeah, one thing I can see, you talk about teammates and teams, see the Gibbs car is really good here today. As now Logano is going to try to work his way a little bit closer to that top 10, but Kyle Busch up in 5th, Denny Hamlin 6th, now Joey Logano trying to go to that 11th spot.
Well, one of the things that has been interesting, guys, you realize this is the 5th straight race of the season where we've had a green flag stretch of at least 100 laps. And these guys are racking them up, putting them down. There's A.J. Allmendinger as he is approaching the 13 of Casey Mears, who's running in 29th, already 1 lap down. Let's get an update from pit road. Vince?
Well, there's no doubt A.J. Allmendinger has had the dominating car so far in this race. But right now, more than any other time in this race, he's got a handful. Listen.
The way the rubber's filled up, it's terrible for the rear of our car. Oh, yeah, I'm just wrecking right now. I'm just hanging on. The back end's real wiggly and the front end's taking off on me.
Right here, he's got problems in the front end and the back end. Let's go to the NASCAR Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer and get an idea how they might be able to help it. Tim?
Thanks, Vince. To get the car in the corner and get it to turn through the center, you might do a little bit of air pressure. But still yet, to get the car forward bite, get it more traction off the corner, you're going to see the guys actually run the track bar down. What we're trying to do here is move the pivot point lower to give the car more rear grip. But still yet, some of those guys, when they're wrecking loose, they want to put this spring rubber in the left rear spring, and that's going to tighten the car up as well. Marty?
All right, thank you, Tim. And as we've been focusing on A.J. Allmendinger, let's update you because Jimmy Johnson has just gotten around Martin Truex to take over the 2nd spot. And there is Jimmy. And he has opened up a 1.5-second margin over Martin. Don't know if Martin's got a problem, but made it look pretty easy. Carl Edwards also trying to get around his teammate, Matt Kenseth. That's for 7th, so move him up.
You know, and something I'm starting to see, that we see the groove is widened out a lot, but some of these guys that are coming forward, I'm seeing them running back down closer to the bottom part of the racetrack. You see it's not nearly as black down there. I think they're trying to get away from that rubber buildup.
Greg Biffle, Juan Pablo Montoya. This is for 11th on the track.
Saw Montoya earlier trying to go really high. Got way out of the groove. I mean, is this something that Dale, that you as the driver looking for some of that wider racetrack and trying to find grip?
Yeah, you're just trying to find some grip, and as that rubber builds up and it'll start your car chattering across there, you can see there's only a couple of places to go. You can try to go up higher, a little dangerous up there, but some of these others are getting their left side down on the very bottom where there's not as much rubber buildup, and they're starting to make that work. You see, that's where Greg Biffle's starting to run now.
Yeah, Biffle proved your point when he got around Montoya, and here he goes around some lap vehicles. Here comes Kevin Harvick, and we'll see what kind of line he's going to take.
Yeah, he was actually one that I noticed a while ago who had been running up much higher on the racetrack, but has brought his car down and is really moving forward.
Travis Kvapil gets out of the way in the 34. He is 4 laps down right now, and here comes Harvick closing on the 42.
Man, we've seen this team do this all year. Not qualify so great, but work on this car. Kevin Harvick doing a great job of driving the car. Just march forward all day long, just like he did last week. Looked like they were going to have a disastrous day and ended up finishing 5th.
Yeah, and that finish was the first time he had been in the top 5 on the last lap of the race. He has picked up 20 spots so far, and you saw Greg Biffle getting a little loose. Here comes Harvick trying to close again on Montoya.
Yeah, that qualified just a little loose for Greg Biffle. That's a lot loose for a lot of drivers, but just a little for Greg.
It looks like everybody's got their hands full right now with this rubber buildup. You see A.J. Allmendinger now. He's a leader. He's lost a lot of his lead. Look how loose that car is.
Just what we said, I ain't going to last much longer. About 20 more laps. We're not making that. Come on now, you can do it. You're doing fine.
Well, those are lap cars going by.
Hey, pit this time. 4 tires, 1 down track bar.
So he's going to come in because he is. I mean, he's getting eaten up by guys that are 2 and 3 laps down right now. His lap times have dropped off markedly.
Yeah, he's got a little issue right here. He just wants to get another set of tires here.
3,900. They all know you're coming out back. 3,900.
Think about telling the driver, okay, back it down. You're still in good shape instead of making a pit stop here, putting yourself in that position.
Well, when the driver's that adamant, he thinks he's got a problem. He needs to pit. I'm going to make him come on in.
Well, he last pitted on lap 113. Here we are on lap 173, and you want to get an idea how slow
One down
really is.
track bar. 4 tires, 1 down track bar.
You heard the call from the crew as A.J. Allmendinger's coming down.
This won't be too devastating if they can get a round of green flag stops in. He's there, Vince.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, they were trying to encourage him that he still had a 3.5-second lead and to hang in there, but AJ was having nothing to do with it. He said this car was on ice and he just could not hold on to it. You heard him talking about the adjustments, 4 tires and 1 down on the track bar, just as Tim Brewer suggested. Well done, Tim.
Well, and yeah, he was commencing to reckon if he would have stayed out there pretty
Yeah, this
longer.
might even force some of the other leaders to come in since he pitted early. Well, out there with those fresh tires.
We've had our 9th lead change as Jimmy Johnson has taken over the lead again. Now 5 of Johnson's 18 chases wins have come from the #1 starting position, and that's where he started today. And he is back in that slot right now. There is your top 5 here at Dover.
Here at the Monster Mile, we are coming up on halfway in today's race number 2 in the chase for the Sprint Cup. Jimmy Johnson is the leader. Johnson started on pole, led the opening 14 laps. Then A.J. Allmendinger took over, and the Dinger has dominated this race until pitting under green a minute ago. He'd only been on the track for 60 laps since his previous pit stop, Vince, and there was a reason he was in.
That's exactly right. You know, we heard him on the radio saying they were wrecking loose. Take a look at this circle on the tire. That's where they pulled this out of. He had the right rear going down, had a right rear flat when he came in. So when the driver's telling you that the car's wrecking loose and I got to bring it in, I guess they made the right decision by listening to him. They pulled that piece of debris out of it. That could have been costly today for sure.
All right, Vince, thanks. The Dinger is back in 25th position and a lap down. Here's Clint Boyer on pit road. And Boyer, apparently this is a speeding penalty for Boyer. You see Greg Biffle in on the pit lane as well. Boyer was in and had a stop, went back out, back in for a penalty, and let's check back with Vince.
Yeah, Greg Biffle is in. He says the car is just still too loose. They've been dealing with that all day long. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, a ½ pound out of the right front, 4 tires and fuel, Marty.
And as Greg Biffle pulls back out, Jimmy Johnson trying to go after Reed Sorensen to put him a lap down. Sorensen, the last car on the lead lap, in 19th position. You're wondering where Allmendinger is. He is 23rd right now, quite a few spots from the lucky dog position. 47 and Marcus Ambrose in.
Looks like something might be wrong with Denny Hamlin here. Looks like 17's coming into pit road. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh,
that didn't make it. No,
that's going to be costly right there, buddy.
Wow. So he missed the commitment line, and so now he's got to wind it back on. He's got a left front tire blow.
That's going to bring out a caution, too. That's going to change everything here.
Wow.
Get it to the bottom.
The 88's in. Let's go to Jamie.
Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr., oh, you see the 17 there, big problem for him. But the 88, he has been tight and loose all weekend long. How do you call that, guys? The yellow is out, caution out, and the 88 remains working on his pit stop, Marty.
Well, they'll be able to finish up and get back out, but boy, this is going to create some questions in the minds of some crew chiefs.
Well, that's just kind of mistakes that we talk about when especially when you get in the chase. You don't want this to happen anytime, but it's the driver's responsibility to know that. And we talked about how difficult it is to get on pit road here, but you can see Matt Kenseth lock him up, really trying to get to that.
Yeah, you see
he's
how
got to be inside of that yellow mark there. I'm sorry, the orange mark down on the line.
He is the 3rd chase contender with a problem today.
He ground that left front tire all the way through the cords, and right here you'll see it just blow out. And all the fender pieces started flying on the front stretch, and that's what brought out the caution.
And Matt,
right here,
right there is where it goes, Andy, and you're right. And he has had a stellar record here. We mentioned it earlier. This is a setback, and this is one of their tracks where they were hoping and counting on picking up points.
Well, it didn't hurt just him. I mean, I know he's got a lot of damage and all that, but you had A.J. Allmendinger who made a green flag stop. He's a lap down. We had quite a few of them that had pitted.
Greg Biffle went 2 laps down by making that stop of his. He had an adventure getting on pit road. I was watching that, but wasn't quite as bad.
Allmendinger misses the lucky dog by 1 position. It will go to Elliott Sadler. So, but we would expect him to stay out and probably take the waiver round. We're getting ready for another round of pit stops. This time it'll be under caution. Our 3rd here on lap number 189. And here comes race leader Jimmy Johnson. And up first it'll be Dr. Jerry Punch on Martin Truex.
You guys talking about all the rubber buildup on the racetrack. It's exactly what Martin is talking about. It goes across the rubber buildup, the car gets loose and it snaps loose and it gets tight in the middle and gets loose coming off because of the rubber. He said, I don't know how to gauge this car. And we're going to make an air pressure change and maybe change the track bar right now, 4 tires, and top it off with Sunoco fuel. Vince.
Kyle Busch is in. He likes his car. As you see a tire getting away from the 56 crew. Kyle Busch on top. Dave Rogers, the crew chief, wanted to make an air pressure adjustment in the front, but Kyle said no. He likes it, Dave.
Busch running third. They will take air pressure out of the left front tire. That's the only adjustment. Jimmy Johnson on that run said about his race car that it was sketchy on the landing. Here's the race off pit road.
And it's going to be Jimmy Johnson followed by Martin Truex. Kyle Busch is going to pick up 1 spot at the expense of brother Kurt. Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano pick up a couple each, or 1 spot each. And Carl Edwards loses 2. Let's go back and take another look. Here's the pit stop on the 56 with that tire getting loose.
Yeah, almost got away from the team. They real lucky to get it back. They get it back across the wall so they can finish the stop, but it cost them a little bit of time. See right here how much that it just cost them just a little bit of time. Well, we're hearing the 2 car was too fast on pit road, so he's going to get a penalty.
So Kurt Busch too fast entering now officially from NASCAR, and so now he is going to have to serve the penalty. And another chaser having a problem here, as that's now 4 of the 12 that have had issues here in this race, and we're not even halfway. Welcome back to the AAA 400, and make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. All right, we are under our 3rd caution. Kurt Busch got a speeding penalty, too fast for entering, and it was the segment right prior to his pit box, and onboard camera will show us exactly what happened.
See, these white lines are the ones that where your segments are. You can hear right there, but he's got another segment there. They thought that was in their pit box, but just that speeding up is what got him.
Let's listen in on his radio.
Us? Oh my God! Well, I lost ground to the 56. It's got to be about halfway anyway. That's usually when we fall apart.
All right, they'll get regrouped. As I said, they still got over half the race to go. 7 waiver rounds: Biffle, Allmendinger, Earnhardt, Boyer, Keselowski, Ambrose, and Gilliland. Also, let's revisit the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. The fastest pit crew is determined by the winner of each race. The pit time, your vote. Be sure to text the car number to 2258 for your pit crew choice. So let's get ready and reset it for you. It'll be Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex up front, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, Denny Hamlin, Logano, and as we mentioned, Allmendinger with the wave around on the lead lap, and Mark Martin has driven his way back onto the lead lap, folks. So all Mark Martin fans, he's 15th.
Yeah, we've got all 3 JGR cars up in the top 6 now.
Whoa, and look at Clint Boyer, and he's trying to gain up some ground. Boyer, of course, is 2 laps down right now in 30th position. Here is Kyle Busch going after Jeff Gordon. That is for 3rd. Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, they're side by side. And here comes Jeff Burton. Remember now, this is an RCR, JGR. Denny Hamlin said, you know, they accused him of basically cheating, and the team has taken exception. Will we see any retaliation here?
Well, Jeff Burton's done a nice job. You remember earlier his car wasn't all of that good. His pit crew's done a fantastic job picking him up a couple of spots each time.
I think you'll see Burton racing really hard, but I don't think you'll see any retaliation from Jeff. I think if you see that, you might find some of the other 2.
He clears him, so give Jeff Burton the position over Hamlin, move him up to 6th. Carl Edwards now taking a look at Denny. On the high side, that was Paul Menard.
Yeah, Jeff Burton car now is what we saw yesterday in practice that really made us think he may have a shot here today.
Yeah, I think the track is coming to them. This is exactly the conditions that we had in happy hour. The sun's on the track. You see the rubber buildup. I think it's right now just like it was in happy hour.
And let's talk about Kevin Harvick. He started 33rd, and here he comes, guys, doing what he always seems to do. He's up to 11th.
Yeah, that's usually a little quicker than he does it.
Yeah,
he moves up before the end.
Yeah,
before the end.
Doc, you've got more?
Yeah, Marty, the plan today for Kevin Harvick was this. Start 33rd, not where he wanted to start, by the way. Be in the top 20 by lap 100, which he was. Be in the top 15 by lap 150. He said, we want to be in the top 10 by halfway. He is right now 11th with 2 laps to go to halfway. So far, he's made 2 of his goals. Got 1 more to go.
Well, if he can beat Paul Menard to the start-finish line, he'll be in the top 10.
Meanwhile, Carl Edwards is trying to get around Denny Hamlin to take over that 7th spot, and he's got him. Let's go back to Harvick. Does he make his goal as we're getting ready to reach the halfway point? He's still got to get around Menard to take over that 10th position.
Yeah, I was going to question Doc about that plan. The plan to start 33rd? That wouldn't have been too good, would it?
Yeah, no, what a failure. He didn't make it by lap 200. He has driven the wheels off that thing. Great run so far for Kevin Harvick. Jimmy Johnson doing what he needed to do after last week's 25th place run at New Hampshire. He is running up front with Martin Truex a full second behind. Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Joey Logano round out the top 5 here at Dover with our race presented by Burger King. Tough break for Martin Truex. He was running 3rd. Doc, what's going on?
Marty, a loose wheel vibration for Martin Truex. He tried to hang on. They thought better of it. He came in 4 tire change, unscheduled stop, and now he's very slow trying to get away. The car stalled. Now it's rolling back and refired at 35 miles an hour.
Broken axle or something. Yeah, it broke something when he took off, Doc. I can see
we got a broken axle, guys.
Right there.
3850.
When he let the clutch out, you can see it break.
So it goes to the garage, Pat. It goes from bad to worse for Martin Truex. Boy, he had such a nice run going today. He was one of our 7 different leaders.
Well, we got a good view of Kyle Busch coming off of turn 4 right there, just about sideways, trying to chase down Jimmy.
Yeah, Kyle is now in 2nd place, 2.1 seconds behind Johnson. Jeff Gordon is 3rd, Logano 4th, and Burton 5th. Now watch the axle.
That's from this side. If you can see the replay from the other side, you'll see that axle break.
And that's what we're going to show you now.
You see that right rear spinning, the left rear is not.
So a tough way to go out for Martin Truex. Let's listen.
Got a broken axle or something. That's what it looks like. Looks like we got a broken axle, guys. 3850.
So he'll bring it back down pit road again to give the crew a chance to take a look at it. And it looks like he may be heading straight for the garage area.
Yeah, if you watch right here, let's look at this left side when the car comes down, right on the drop of the jack. You see right here, it takes, they're finishing up on the left side. As soon as that jack comes down, Martin takes off, and you see it right there is when it broke.
Great camera work, guys. And you can see the wheel just sort of basically hanging on. All right, so now you got Jimmy Johnson by 2.3 seconds, and here we go with a nice 4-car mix. Jeff Gordon with Jeff Burton and Carl Edwards. They're all trying to chase down Joey Logano.
Yeah, Logano just made a pass on Jeff Gordon. He's coming to the front. That puts him up in that 3rd spot now. And here goes Burton in the 4th.
And it may be Jeff's got a little issue or two because he is running higher on the racetrack. Here goes Carl underneath, and he's making it look easy.
Yeah, it looks like anytime a car gets up to Jeff Gordon's back bumper, it really loosens him up quite a bit. So now he doesn't have anybody right behind him for a couple of laps here anyway.
And those other guys are not very nice. They're just getting right up on his bumper, making it worse.
Yeah, they're pretty good at recognizing that too.
Well, we've passed halfway here at the AAA 400 at Dover, and we have a total of 19 cars on the lead lap. And the first car 1 lap down is Marcus Ambrose. Jimmy Johnson now has led a total of 57 laps. If you're wondering about A.J. Allmendinger, who's led 143, he is running in 18th right now. Let's get an update on Jeff Burton. He is currently 4th, Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, he is being as patient as ever. He was about 17th when I told you this team would be disappointed if they didn't finish in the top 3. Well, look at this. Their last round of pit stops, this team did a great job. It was an air pressure adjustment to get the car turning better, and it has come to life. He's already gained 5 positions since the restart. Keep your eye on 31. Dave?
Carl Edwards restarted 7th. He picked up 2 spots. His car was loose and made a wedge adjustment. The quick report is tighter early, so that's a good thing. I asked crew chief Bob Osborne what he likes about Carl at this track. He says his ability to drive a car that is wild to drive. He says, you know what I mean? Car moves around. He is adaptable. A wild car. Car can drive it. It's been handling well, but you know what Dover can do to a race car, guys?
Let's drop back a little bit further, check in on Denny Hamlin. His day going as better than probably he has anticipated, at least up to this moment, as he is currently running in the 7th position. Ryan Newman right behind him, but Kevin Harvick is looming.
Yeah, he's just one car behind right there. I'm sure Denny Hamlin can get a glimpse of that car in his mirror. After what we saw yesterday, I wouldn't be too surprised if these two get together if they have to race hard.
Yeah. And if you missed yesterday during the practice session, as soon as it started, Mr. Harvick took exception to Denny's comments about Richard Childress Racing and let him know it. There was arguing going on in the garage, and that's why we're keeping our eye on this again, because Jeff Burton went past without incident. But here comes Kevin. Of course, he's got to get to him first, and Denny's had probably one of the best race cars he's had in a long time here at Dover. We talked about the problems on Jeff Gordon. He sort of slid back to the 6th position now. Doc, what are you hearing down there?
Well, if you want to be impressed with how good a race car driver Jeff Gordon really is, listen into his radio and they're talking about the car he is trying to hang on to.
Ridiculously loose getting in. 10-4, mostly on entry. That's getting in, right?
Jeff had said about 10 laps ago, this car is absolutely evil. He said for the first 30 laps after a pit stop, it is sideways. It's hard to hang on to. And he's still doing a heck of a job.
He is 7.9 seconds behind the race lead, and he's almost a full second ahead of Denny Hamlin for that spot.
When you have a car that's kind of hard to hang on to, does it make you a little testy out there, Dale?
I promise you, yeah. You'd like to think that you got your message across, but sometimes you have to be a little bit of a smart aleck at times. But I think Jeff got his message across. They'll be working on tightening this thing up on entry, I think.
Yeah, I think it's on entry, isn't it?
Well, meanwhile, up front, Jimmy Johnson has now led 64 laps. It's the 46th chase race that Jimmy Johnson has led. Is there any reason he's a 4-time champion?
Chase race number 2 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series from the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware, being led by Jimmy Johnson past its halfway point. 170 laps to go. Johnson out in front of Kyle Busch by 2.7 seconds. Let's get you caught up on what's happened so far in our Dodge race rundown. Jimmy started on the pole, lost the lead in the early going, then lost a bunch of track position when a pit stop went wrong. Little trouble with a dropped lug nut on the left rear. The man who's been the star of the day so far was A.J. Allmendinger. That's Jimmy passing Allmendinger for the lead. The Dinger was out in front for 143 laps until an unscheduled stop.
Yeah, he had a really great run going on. All of a sudden, he had a flat right rear tire, had to bring that baby down pit road, change the tires and that thing, and it really got him behind, but he got himself back on the lead lap right now.
Down in 18th position. A lot of the drivers in the chase for the Sprint Cup have made mistakes today, self-inflicted mistakes, mostly speeding penalties.
Yeah, we've seen the 14, 17, the 2, the 33. All these guys have struggled today, and they put themselves in difficult positions out of the hunt right now, past halfway, see if they can make it up as the day goes on.
Matt Kenseth skidding past the pit lane entry line, then blowing a left front tire on his car. Speeding penalty for Kurt Busch. You saw Clint Boyer get in the wall. Speeding penalty for him as well. Some of the guys chasing a championship with their struggles today here at the Monster Mile in Delaware. So far, the caution flag is waved 3 times for 14 laps. Fairly tame. The dominating up front has been A.J. Allmendinger and Jimmy Johnson. A few other drivers have led a handful of laps apiece, and right now it's Jimmy working on getting this drive for 5 back on track as we go upstairs to Marty, DJ, and Andy.
And Kyle Busch gave us a good side view of his right side of the car as he is trying to make history here. We mentioned the fact. Now let's check in also with the 31 and the 99, because Jeff Burton and Carl Edwards going for 4th position here.
And the one thing that I see right now is we've got some cloud cover again. Whenever the sun was out, Jeff Burton's car really came alive, and now we've got the clouds rolled back in, and it looks like Burton's not quite as good. Carl Edwards' car looks really good on the longer runs, though. He said that earlier in the day. He thought that's where that would be their strong suit.
Jeff Burton making our 575th Cup start, and about our race leader, Andy, he was pretty good when the sun was out also.
Well, I thought that too, but after watching this car, I believe he's pretty good either way. I mean, his lap times are pretty good right now.
Let's show you the gap back to 2nd place on Kyle Busch. We mentioned the history Kyle could make. No one in the history of NASCAR has ever swept the Nationwide and the Sprint Cup for a full season at the same track where there's been that many races. And we're talking about 4 straight wins. And if Kyle does it today, he can do it and make history again. Let's talk to Kyle, as we did earlier, about being a threat to be in the chase.
I think the biggest thing that helped me this year was actually chasing the Nationwide Series championship last year. I kind of understood what it took to win a championship. You don't have to win all the races. You just need to finish well and run strong. But you got to have good cars. And for me and Dave to try to communicate really well, to build and put good race cars out there on the racetrack is really going to be crucial and important for both of us.
You see him getting around Bobby Labonte as he continues his march, trying to chop into that 3-second lead.
Yeah, he's doing a great job here today, just like he did last week. You know, he got involved when he got hit in one of those accidents. He spun, came back to get a top 10 finish, and we knew that coming to Dover, that would be big for him as far as looking at the points race.
All right, we got a group of cars here. The 82 of Scott Speed is lap traffic. Denny Hamlin trying to get underneath him. Scott gives him plenty of room. Then here comes Ryan Newman and Kevin Harvick. Harvick has not been able to get around Newman to get anywhere close to Hamlin.
He'd been closing in some, and he went down into turn 1 about 8 or 9 laps ago. Just shot up the racetrack, lost a lot of time, but now he's been able to recover, and you see he's trying to take that spot away from Ryan Newman.
Newman running in the 8th position. Harvick right behind.
The Harvick's car looks like another one of those that, as you get some laps on the tires, that his car kind of continues on where some others fall off quite a bit.
Right on board with Ryan. Here comes Kevin taking another look. Keeping the pressure on, but not able to take over the position as we're working lap number 242 of 400.
And he'll try to get up to the back bumper of Ryan Newman, see if he might free him up a little bit. He can try to get a good run off the corner.
Well, you see also that Denny Hamlin has been able to open up a bit of a margin over those two, as David Rudiman, after his problems, is the lap vehicle between them. Rudiman right now 36th position, 23 laps down. And if he was ever going to think about getting back at Ryan Newman, that would have been it. Jimmy Johnson right up front with Kyle Busch, 2.5 seconds behind. Here we are at Dover. We're still a long way from home. Jimmy Johnson out in front by 3.1 seconds over Kyle Busch. Joey Logano is 3rd, Carl Edwards 4th, and Jeff Burton is 5th. But Kyle Busch had himself an issue just a few moments ago. Let's show you what happened.
Coming out of turn 2 here, trying to get all he could get. The 77 was right on his bumper from where Kyle had gotten around him. Gets into the wall a little bit. Not sure how much damage. It's going to change his car.
Well, let's listen on the radio and see what he says.
Right side, I knocked it out. It's different. I'll figure it out.
Vince, you've got more?
Well, the big question for Kyle was whether he did damage to the front or just the rear. He said he felt like it was just the rear. His spotter said he thinks that maybe they built in that right front just a little bit. But Kyle says it's not too bad, but it definitely feels tighter since that contact.
Well, and then if you want to watch another interesting moment, watch Casey Kane as we ride on board with Tony Stewart.
Well, you think this isn't a challenge? You can see he had his right sides in that really dark spot. Looked like where the rubber's really building up. It's made the car take off up the racetrack. Nice save.
Meanwhile, Jimmy Johnson continues to lead, but his lead's down to 2.8 seconds. He's gotten around Travis Kvapil again. There is 2nd place. Joey Logano is 5.9 seconds behind the race leader. Let's get an update from pit road. Dave Burns.
On the leader, Jimmy Johnson. He's had very good comments about this race car all day long. And remember, his 5 wins here make him the leader among active drivers. But what about his record following a bad week? Do you realize that there have been 7 times in the chase where he has finished 25th or worse, similar to last week? The next week, 3 times, he's won the race. That's a pretty good stat, Marty.
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've got plenty of stats to back up those 4 championships.
Yeah. There's quite a few.
All right, we mentioned Mark Martin had gotten back on the lead lap on his own. Guess where he is now? If you are a Mark Martin fan, get out your T-shirts, your flags, wear them proudly, because Mark is up to the 11th spot, and it's like the Mark Martin we knew from last year. He has taken this car and moved it up 31 spots, Jamie Little.
Well, this car's been tight, but he has been up on the wheel the entire race. His pit crew is getting the job done. Remember, after qualifying, where he had a third-place qualifying effort, they did not pass inspection. The right rear shock exceeded maximum allowable pressure, and Alan Gustafson said it was an honest mistake. They were very disappointed. They feel like they just can't catch a break this year. But guys, this run from 42nd up to 11th right now has got to make the team feel good.
And he still has just a tick under 150 laps to be able to even crack the top 10 and maybe even the top 5. And he is right now in 11th, 14 seconds behind the race leader, and that is Jimmie Johnson, who leads by 3.1 seconds over Kyle Busch. So another pit stop sequence about to occur as the laps continue here at Dover. And last time around, well, it's been very physical for some and very scary for some others. Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming from the Monster. Welcome back to the AAA 400. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Jimmie Johnson has stayed out as pit stops have started here. Another cycle on the green flag. A.J. Allmendinger has already come in. Points leader Denny Hamlin is running 7th. And as you can see, Greg Biffle, he has made his pit stop, and he is now in 26th position right now and shown 3 laps down. 42 of Juan Pablo Montoya has made his stop. He is running back out, and let's go to Dr. Jerry Bunch.
Kevin Harvick on for his pit stop. The car very, very tight. Chassis adjustment, air pressure adjustment, 4 Goodyear tires, being very deliberate. We've heard a couple of guys leaving tires loose. He is down and away. Jamie.
And his teammate Jeff Burton says he's a little free on entry, a little tight on exit. No changes, 4 tires for the 31. Vince?
The 18 of Kyle Busch, they talked about making a wedge adjustment depending on how that right front fender was, but they said the fender's not bad, so they're going to just make air pressure adjustment in both front tires for Kyle Busch. 4 fresh Goodyears for Kyle in the 18. There's the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has been battling a loose in-car throughout much of the day. 4 fresh tires for Hamlin and an air pressure adjustment as well, but he's been in the top 10. That would be a victory if they could finish there.
Jimmie Johnson now making his way down pit road, and Carl Edwards is behind him.
Getting to pit road. All right, bud.
Let's send it to Dave Burns.
Now, Jimmie Johnson said, I had to get into the corner softer, so in essence, I backed up the center of the corner, and that made it just a little bit tight for me. But the exit was very good, so what they're going to do is, it appears it's going to be track bar. They talked about taking a spring rubber out as well, but that's interesting. Changing his line changed the way that they had to make their adjustments. The 99 of Carl Edwards is in as well. His car was looser this run. They talked about a quarter-pound of air pressure and a wedge adjustment for Carl.
All right, Dave, as they finish up on the work on Carl Edwards, looking down pit road, Kurt Busch is also coming down. You see him at the top portion of your screen. David Reagan right out in front of him. Regan Smith, who just celebrated his 27th birthday, and he had a penalty that he had to serve. He was speeding on pit road, and unfortunately, that is going to be a problem because he just got busted again. He sped on his pass-through. Let's get the update on the 2, Dave.
Kurt Busch is recovering somewhat from that pit road speeding penalty. Loose everywhere was the car. He picked up about 5 or 6 positions on that run. They make a track bar adjustment and air pressure adjustment for Kurt.
And you see the 48 of Jimmie Johnson going around Clint Bowyer. Bowyer, 27th spot right now, 3 laps down. His chase hopes are dwindling quickly. Other chasers that are in a bit of a bind, well, Greg Biffle's in 22nd, 1 lap down. Matt Kenseth, 20th, 1 lap down here at Dover.
Back at the Monster Mile, just finished a set of green flag pit stops, and Jimmie Johnson has the lead over Kyle Busch. It was a 4.4 second lead before the stops. Now it's just a 1.3 second lead. And most of the difference can be accounted for when Jimmie Johnson came onto pit road. He had some troubles getting onto this pit lane. Now watch Jimmie here and look as he crosses the first commitment line how much he slows down. In the pit studio with Rusty and Brad, and what this really goes to is how the pit road timing lines work. Listen to the audio on his car, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that as we ride with Jimmie. Listen.
Yeah, Alan, right there. He just obviously thought he'd come in pit road way too hot. He slowed down so he wouldn't get a speeding penalty, but obviously slowed down just a little bit too much, and he lost all that time on pit road, almost 3 seconds. But the good thing is he's flat flying on the racetrack right now. He's by far the quickest car at the moment.
I guess my theory, I got one of two theories. Either he thought he was too fast and had to slow down and stretch that time out between the first two timing lines, or he had trouble finding the gear he needed to for his pit road speed. Just listening to that engine sound?
Yeah, but I believe it was your first theory there. I think he was just concerned about speeding, making sure he was going to be correct in the zones, slow enough in the zones, and just got on the brakes and loaded up a little bit too hard.
All right, well, Jimmy's driving away from second place now. Lap time's looking good, and Johnson almost now back up to a 2-second lead. Let's go up to speed with Pepsi. Dave, what are they saying in the leader's pit?
Well, Alan, I talked this morning to Chad Knaus about Jimmy's strength here, why he's good here. And Chad goes, you know, contrary to popular belief, concrete really does change a lot over the course of the day. Jimmy's very adaptable, and that helps us. Remember my report on the last pit stop. Jimmy had backed up his entry a little bit, so it changed the center of the corner, so that changed the way they were working on the car. Adapting to this track, and maybe if he can adapt to his pit road entry, he can win this thing, Vince.
Well, Kyle Busch won this thing in May. Can they do it again today? Well, Kyle says the car is pretty good. He said, I'm not quite sure how to make it go faster, though. That's what he needs. He likes the balance of the car right now, but he just doesn't quite have the speed that he wants. They dodged a bullet with that wall contact. Very minor damage on the right side. Doc?
What a difference a year makes for Joey Logano. A year ago, he was rolling his Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota over off of turn 3. Today, he is rolling along here in third position, trying to get his first ever top 5 at Dover. Last pit stop, half around the wedge, half around down on the track bar. The car had been loose, now is much, much better. Dave.
Hey, Doc, Carl Edwards maintained that fourth position throughout the round of pit stops. He did ask right afterwards, hey, Bob, did they make that adjustment in the right direction? It seems a little bit looser. Remember, it was loose. He said, yeah, bud, we sure did. And then just a couple laps later, Carl said, yeah, okay, yeah, it's good, it's good. Jamie?
This 31 team, Jeff Burton, feels like they found something last weekend at Loudon. They said they were lacking speed. Well, they found it, ran top 5 until they ran out of fuel at the end. This week, they unloaded with that speed. He qualified 27th, but the car is showing what it's capable of. He's worked his way up to 5th. Doc?
Jeff Gordon is back in 6th position. Now, although he is a 4-time winner here, when I asked this crew before the race, how would you rank Dover among the 10 chase races in terms of best or worst racetrack? They said it's absolutely our worst track. We've had this one circled since May. We don't run well here. If we can walk away with a top 10 finish, we'll be very, very happy. They have done a lot to tighten the car up. Wedge, track bar, air pressure, it is getting better. They might get a top 5. Vince.
Well, you could almost say the same thing about the 11 and Denny Hamlin. They know that this is their worst track, certainly their worst in the chase. But they had a good run here in May, finished 4th, and they thought if there's anywhere near that kind of finish today, they're going to walk out of here with the points lead. So far, the car's been loose most of the day, but Denny wanted no changes on that last stop. It's neutral now. Dave Burns?
Look at Kurt Busch putting on the pressure. I think he's got his mojo back now. His crew picked him up spots through that round of pit stops, at least 2 by my count. And since he's been running on this run, no words on the radio. I think Kurt's car is better, and I think he's feeling better about driving it. Vince?
The 39 of Ryan Newman running in the 9th spot right now. Newman says the car is a little bit snug, but he didn't want any changes, just a very slight air pressure adjustment on that last pit stop. They've been really happy with their car this weekend, although they've been fighting turn 1 a little bit when it lands with maximum compression. Haven't had so much of an issue with that today, and crew chief Tony Gibson was hoping that would be the case as the speed slowed down a little bit, particularly in race traffic. Doc?
Remember I told you the plan for Kevin Harvick was to get to the top 10 by halfway? That's what they told me. That's all the plan they had. They didn't tell me anything else. That's as far as he's gotten, I guess, so far. He got the 10th, and he is staying in 10th position, although they are going back now on a track bar adjustment after the previous stop to get the car better. Yellow on the racetrack, guys.
Well, and this is a big break for A.J. Allmendinger, running back in 14th position. He had worked his way back on the lead lap. He pitted early, and now it's paid dividends. And it is a debris caution, we're being told, from NASCAR.
Well, it didn't work out great for him. I mean, he had the best car. He was leading the race and had that tire go down. had to make that green flag stop, and it's taken him this long to really kind of race his way back into this thing, and now he gets to reset, gets equal tires with everyone.
Let's update you on some of the other teams. Obviously, Matt Kenseth, 18th, a lap down. Greg Biffle in the chase, 20th, a lap down. Also, Tony Stewart, 25th, 2 laps down, and Clint Boyer is 3 laps down in 27th. Those 4 guys are in some serious trouble right now.
Yeah.
While we've got a moment, let's go back to Jimmy Johnson on pit road. How about another theory? Remember his only pit road speeding penalty
Came
was
right here.
Right here. He was leading the race at that time.
Well, he had too much to lose and not a lot to gain by trying to push the issue in that segment. I think he did the right thing. And it comes down to trying to race somebody for the win and make that green flag stop. He might push it a little bit more, but he did exactly what he needed to do right there.
Yeah, and another driver I want to talk about is Kurt Busch. As Dave reported, his pit crew did a great job, but he did a fantastic job after that pit road speeding penalty that he had. He's got himself up in 8th. They better watch out for him before this is over.
Okay, and of course, keep your eye on Kyle Busch's team. That crew has done some remarkable pit turnarounds. Here we go. Everybody's coming in. We're going to find out. This could be very, very pivotal in this race, even though we still got 109 laps to go. Doc, I think Joey Logano is going to be coming your way first.
Yeah, Marty, he's the first one to come down toward this end of pit road. They're going to make a couple of slight adjustments for Joey. The car had gotten better, very, very much to his liking. 4 tires, topping off on fuel. They said this late in the race, not a time to make huge swings on the race car. Just minor changes. Vince.
The 18 of Kyle Busch, they're going to make an air pressure adjustment in the right front. Also a little bit of wedge and a 4-tire change. He likes it, but needs him to turn better, Dave.
Third place, Carl Edwards' car is good. Only changes 4 fresh tires. On Jimmy Johnson's car, they're going to make a track bar adjustment a little bit tight. And front tire carrier Art Simmons is going to put a little piece of tape on the front for 48. And it looks like Kyle Busch, sorry about that, is going to get the lead, guys.
Yes.
Boys, thank you.
The JGR crew just turned on another great performance. He takes over the race lead. Jeff Gordon picks up a spot at the expense of Jeff Burden. Here's the race off.
It's close, but Kyle Busch gets him at the line.
And look how close it was between Carl and Joey Logano as well. And as we get ready to head to break, there is the debris that NASCAR is out picking up on the track. And we've got 108 laps to go, and we've got our 9th leader. Took 292 laps, but Kyle Busch is now in the race lead for the first time today, and here's how.
Yeah, you see right there, just a little bit, 9/10 of a second by the crew, and that just is enough to make a spot on pit road. This is a big spot for him, though. He got the lead.
Elliott Sadler's going to get the lucky dog. 9 waiver rounds. Raga, Gilliland, Keselowski, Boyer, Hornish, Smith, Scott, Tony Stewart, Raines. Here we go. It's Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson up front, Edwards, Logano, and Jeff Gordon. That's your top 5.
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson spun the tires there. Kyle Busch got a great start from that outside spot that I think he learned a little bit about that yesterday when he won the nationwide race.
And Logano is going to take over 2nd position if he can hold on to it. Here comes Jimmy back underneath. Right behind him, Burton and Carl Edwards going after each other. And Kurt Busch is taking a peek. We may go 3 wide here. Nope, he slides up. Here comes Jimmy underneath the 20.
Well, it's a tough spot right now down the inside. These air pressure's low. A loose race car probably to start with. See, Jimmy had to slide in behind Joey Logano.
Oh, and Carl
Allmendinger just about got turned off turn 2.
Edwards was loose. Allmendinger was even looser. Hangs on to it. Does a nice job of keeping it off the wall.
Ray Burton loose, trying to hold Kurt Busch back there.
Well, I watched Kyle Busch work his tires really hard under that caution, trying to get them all warmed up for this restart. It really paid off for him.
And that's just a driver paying attention to everything you have to do to try to win these races and make the best of a situation.
You know, the irony of this situation, look who's running 1st or 2nd right now. Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, little deja vu from yesterday. That's where these two finished. 1-2 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Of course, we've still got 102 laps to go, just about 25% of the race distance.
When you talk about those guys, you don't get up there in the front of these by accident. You know, there's a reason behind it. We heard Kyle Busch talk about learning some things yesterday that was going to benefit him today, and he's shown that.
A chance to make history. He's tied with a number of drivers with 4 sweeps in NASCAR history of Nationwide and Sprint Cup, but he could be the first to do a sweep of all 4 races at a track where the series runs twice a year if he can win today. On board right now with Denny Hamlin. He's running 9th. That's Jeff Gordon right in front of him. And again, I guarantee you, Hamlin is thrilled with his run so far.
Well, he probably is, but the one thing that we've seen throughout the progression of the day is him slip back 1 or 2 spots after kind of each round of pit stops, that these other drivers make their cars a little bit better. So he continues to fall back towards that, just maybe working himself outside the top 10.
And with both of his teammates running 1-2, I mean, they've done the opposite. They've kind of worked their way to the front.
All right, well, you see the 1.4-second lead that Kyle Busch has over Joey Logano, but let's go back and take a look at the restart and that tire spin you were talking about.
Just watch this right here. Before they get the green now, he's just, well, this is actually the green flag, but right before that, he had been really working those tires.
Yeah, he had been doing that, but boy, he pulled a slick move right there. He saw Jimmy Johnson kind of get in the gas and pull up there, and then he took off. He knew he had an advantage.
Jeff Burton with Kurt Busch all over him. Remember, Busch had that speeding penalty. He has bounced back nicely. Carl Edwards right behind in 6th position. Then Paul Menard with a great run going in 7th. You see Menard in the 98, top of your screen, followed by Jeff Gordon and Denny Hamlin. And Ryan Newman, that rounds out your top 10. Let's get an update on the 48, Dave.
Marty, on that restart, it's interesting. Chad reminded Jimmy before they came to green what you guys were talking about. Work those tires in, and Jimmy keyed the radio back. Yep, I got it. Now, other drivers have been talking about on this restart, drivers including Carl Edwards and Jamie McMurray, just how slick it is out there. What's different? It's really slimy out here. So, combination there, it seems like he did the right thing, but I think the track is real slick right now, too.
Well, and the sun has come out again, and you see at the top of your screen, here comes Gordon taking a peek under the 98. It looks like he may get the spot.
Gonna take that spot.
So move Jeff up to 7th. And he's pulling away.
These drivers are all just searching around in these corners to see where they can go around, get a little bit of grip somewhere. I've been watching this 18 car. He literally is right on the bottom of the racetrack. We talked earlier about the rubber not quite as bad down there. You can see it's just a little grayer. Even though his right sides might have to get in it, he's got that little bit of grip in the left side.
But if you've noticed, a lot more cars have been going down there, and it is starting to get darker. So the compromise comes again. Here comes Allmendinger. Look out. He's flying around Mark Martin.
He's on a mission, man.
That gives him 11th. Bump Mark back to 12th. 2 laps down last week at one point at New Hampshire. Came back to get back on the lead lap. It was a couple of laps down here. Vince, he's got another great run going.
Now, one of the things that Mike Shiplett, his crew chief, had talked to AJ about during this run is the fact that they've been off sequence with the other cars because of the fact they had to come in when they picked up that debris and had that right rear going down. But now they're back on sequence, and they feel like they're as good as anybody when they're on the same tires as everyone else. He told AJ, get your game face on and go get them. AJ's listening.
Came back to finish 12th last week at New Hampshire. And here are the lap leaders. Remember, you get the bonus points, and Jimmy Johnson's got to lead 11 more laps, and Kyle Busch is racking them up right now at 16.
Yeah, Jimmy thought that he was going to have that kind of well in hand maybe. Once Allmendinger had his problems, he'd be able to get those 5 bonus points. 18's keeping him from doing that right now.
We've had 9 leaders and 12 different lead changes so far in this race, and we have 91 laps to go here at Dover. There's your top 5 with Kyle Busch looking to make another page of history. You're looking at the race leader with 83 laps to go here at Dover. It is race number 2 of the 10-race chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. Kyle Busch by 1.8 seconds over Joey Logano. Jimmy Johnson is running in 3rd place right now. And as we move back to Jeff Burton, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon, Paul Menard, Denny Hamlin, the points leader, running in the 9th position. And as we zoom in on Denny, again having a better day than probably he anticipated. Right ahead of Ryan Newman, who's running in the 10th position. And while we're looking at the number 11, let's talk about Denny, who we will focus on in our Gillette Pro Glide profile. His previous 4 average finish here for 4 races in the chase, 27th. Today he's running 9th. That's why it's been such a big day for him.
Well, they've been able to make something of this at the track that's been not very kind to them, especially in the chase scenario over the last 4 years. Having a good solid day here. I know they'd like to be able to keep this thing up in the top 10 and more importantly keep the points lead out of here.
There you see his cycle right there. His low was 24th. And Jimmy Johnson now taking a look underneath the 20 of Joey Logano. This is for second on the racetrack as they go door to door. Down into the corner. Jimmy's got the spot. So put Johnson back into that position right behind Kyle Busch, albeit 1.7 seconds behind.
Yeah, I think Jimmy really had been working Logano hard to try to do that, to get a little more clean air on the nose of that Chevrolet of his.
Jeff Burton now closing on Logano and Kurt Busch as well. There's Kurt's cycle. Of course, back at that one point when he had the penalty, served it, went to the back of the field. Let's get a further update. Dave Burns.
Andy, crew chief, can I have a little help here?
Yes, sir, Dave.
All right, if you have a little loose race car, you put some air in the right front, that'll tighten it up a little bit, right?
Yep.
All right, well, they did that, and unfortunately, Kurt says it's still loose, and now the right front feels like a basketball. You saw it get loose off the corner there. What's up with the basketball stuff?
Well, when you get too much air in that right front, especially with this rubber buildup on the track, it'll enhance that, that vibration and bouncing effect. So I've heard that so many times at this track that right front feels like a basketball when you get too much air in it.
Now, you're wondering maybe what happened to Kevin Harvick in this mix. Remember, he was just a couple of spots behind Denny Hamlin. Well, something is not right because he has dropped back to the 14th position.
Yeah, whatever adjustment they made last time, trying to get a little more speed. You see on the right side with A.J. Allmendinger there trying to go around Ryan Newman. But Kevin Harvick, this adjustment really hasn't been good for him. He's dropped 4 spots, Doc. What's going on?
Well, DJ, they had made a track bar adjustment to tighten the car up before, and Kevin said it made it too tight. So when they brought him in the last time, they went back to where it was before, and now guess what? It's too loose. It's very, very loose getting in the corner and loose coming off. He said the car is going to get better, and over a long run, the car will come to him, but you lose a whole lot early on in the run of the car being that loose.
Yeah, it's just difficult, to make these changes and just little small adjustments make such a big difference with this car the way it is today.
Great battle going on between those two right there, Ryan Newman and A.J. Allmendinger. They may not be in the chase, but they are both trying to win races, score points, make sponsors happy, just as the other guys in the field, that 31 that are not involved. And Dinger, the last 2 weeks, has just been spectacular. And here he goes, taking another look underneath. And Ryan, who everybody will tell you is one of the hardest guys to race against, he'll never give you an inch, and Dinger's going to have to take it away from him. AJ's trying.
Yeah, he's trying. He's not going to quite clear him on this lap, but AJ's car goes through the center of the corner really well. He can set him up here and get a nice run out of turn 2.
He may get him this time.
No, I don't think so.
Nope, you're right, Andy. He's going to carry the momentum.
Yeah, you really got to back off a little bit to getting down to the corner, jump in the gas right here, then you can kind of put a slide job on him.
Mark Martin's watching all of this right behind both of them. Again, Mark started back in the 42nd position, got up as high as 11th. Right now he's running in the 12th spot.
There he's got him.
Now he's got him. So A.J. Allmendinger has gotten back into the top 10. And what a run the 43 has going today. You're asking where the race leader is? There he is, Kyle Busch. And remember how he said on the radio, I'll adjust. Remember when he brushed the wall? Well, he's adjusted himself right into the race lead. But you don't have to look too far back because it looks like Jimmy Johnson's found something too.
Yeah, Jimmy's been closing just a little bit every lap now. You see he's within 1 second.
Well, Jimmy Johnson and Kyle Busch have won 4 of the last 5 Dover races. Any surprise? They're running 1-2 right now. With 63 laps to go, the battle is on for first. You're on board with Kyle Busch. Right behind him is Jimmy Johnson. He has been closing quickly.
Well, Jimmy just found something in his race car. See, he's trying to go underneath him right now and see if he can take this lead back.
Both cars have been trying to hold the bottom line. Kyle can't do it any longer. Jimmy side by side, and he's going to clear him.
Oh, man, runs you down that quick. There's no sense in trying to sit there and hold him up, maybe do something with your car.
How about this?
Well, how about
let's try this?
maybe we're going to try again here.
Let's crisscross over and see if we can do it.
Side racing.
Oh, and Jimmy's got the momentum this time, and I think he's going to be able to hold him. Yes, he does.
New leader, 48.
And the guy who's fastest, actually, guys, looking at that last lap, the two of them better be looking for Jeff Burton, who has now moved into third place during the commercial break. He got around Joey Logano. He is 1.6 seconds behind. Remember the bonus points for leading the most laps? Well, Jimmy Johnson back in front. Here comes Jeff Burton. Don't forget Burton, he led only the final 6 laps when he won this race back in 2006.
Yeah, and you can see Burton's running a little different line. He's a little higher on the racetrack, but it's really working well for him right now. He's beating Jimmy Johnson a little over 1/10 of a lap.
Jamie, what have you got down there?
Well, it's interesting, DJ. You hit on something with Jeff Burton. He's driving a little bit different line. Jeff told his crew, guys, I've been here 33 times. I am having to drive this racetrack like I have never driven it before. He's going straighter into the corners than he's used to. But hey, it's working. Remember their goal to be a top 3 car? They passed Joey Logano, and they are picking it away, guys. The car is getting good, and it is getting cooler down here on the racetrack.
Yeah, the cloud cover has rolled back in, 1.4 seconds back from the race leader, but he's closing on second place. You saw Jimmy, he's got lap traffic with Sam Hornish in front of him.
Yeah, and sometimes you drive that thing straighter into the corner. It does a couple of things. You carry more speed through the center of the corner, and then you're not abusing your tires as much.
Yeah, but watch this. We're going to see him pass Kyle Busch, but he's going in the corner, and he's running up in the center, and then he pulls it way down on the bottom of the track coming off. He's going to have to race Kyle Busch and make him run a little different line here.
Yeah, he got his right sides in all of that rubber right there, and you can see it just didn't stick for him. Kyle Busch looked in his mirror. I'm sure that his spotter probably told him too where Jeff Burton's been running. He took that groove away from him.
Well, he actually got a little loose coming out of that corner as he's lost a little ground now to Kyle, but here he comes back again.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You run up on a car, and it kind of takes away your groove, breaks your rhythm for just a minute, makes it more difficult.
Also, I'm pretty impressed with Kyle Busch. He makes adjustments constantly during the race to make his car do what he wants it to do.
Jeff Gordon's got his hands full with Paul Menard. Menard's got a great day going for him as well, as he's in 8th. Kyle got a little sideways on the right side of the screen. Here comes Jeff Burton, that is.
Yeah, talking about Paul Menard, he is having a great day as Burton goes into that second spot now.
So move Jeff up to the second position. He is 1.7 seconds behind the race leader. What's going on with Kyle Busch, Vince?
Well, as you can tell, his car not handling to his liking, says it's just too tight. They've been working on that the last couple of stops, but just haven't gotten it to where it'll turn the way Kyle wants it to turn through the corners. And he did, by the way, adjust that line to give Jeff Burton a little bit more trouble going by him. Burton obviously did get by him, but as the spotter Eddie DeHaan said, Jeff got loose there, and Kyle said, yeah, I know.
Picking up the other Jeff Gordon still got his hands full of Paul Menard. Menard's last top 10 was 9 races ago at Chicago when he finished in the 10th position, and right now he's trying to take over the 7th spot. Right behind these two is Denny Hamlin, the current points leader, and A.J. Allmendinger rounds out your top 10. And there's Allmendinger in the 43. You see the gap between all 3 of those cars. Whoa, Hamlin got a little loose. And Allmendinger's going to close. So can AJ take over the 9th position?
Yeah, and last thing you want when you just got loose is to have somebody right on your bumper.
Might be a good time to let him go. You know, we talked about the beginning of the show when I would be doing some coaching right here. I'd say, just let that car go, man. We don't need to fight that spot.
Well, Denny Hamlin right now still in the points lead, but we've still got 52 laps to go, and there you'd see where it would be if everything stayed as is. A lot of shuffle. Busch would pick up a spot. Johnson could pick up 3. Harvick and Gordon would be big losers. And boy, Biffle, Stewart, Kenseth, Boyer, not where they want to be. In fact, right now, Kenseth, Biffle a lap down. Tony Stewart is 1 lap down. Clint Boyer is 4 laps down.
Now you see Jimmy Johnson, he's leading this race. Kyle Busch now dropped back to 3rd, but don't forget, Kyle Busch got the lead by his pit crew on pit road. We still have 1 more pit stop to go.
And that stop still to come. As we said, just 50 laps to go now here at Dover. There's your top 5, and this one's still up for grabs.
And Mark Martin on the move so far in this race today. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, check out NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile at sprint.com/speed. Now, talked about the final round of pit stops. They've begun for some of the cars that were not on the lead lap, and for one that was, Doc.
Kevin Harvick just had to get in. You know, this car was just so bad. He said it's terrible, to quote Kevin. So loose in, so loose off, would not roll the center. He is down and away. That should be the final stop of the day.
So a little short pitting action here for Harvick, splitting the difference, although we'd expect to see most of the rest in within the next 10 laps or so, as Jimmy Johnson continues to hold a 1.7-second advantage on Jeff Burton. Watching Kyle Busch continue to slide back through the field. There's Kurt Busch, his brother, right behind him. This is a race for 4th and 5th positions. And Rusty, what this 18 team really needs to have a shot at this thing in the end is a caution, right?
Yeah, they need a caution flag. They need another good pit stop. They are the fastest pit crew on pit road. There is just no doubt about that, and that's not what Jimmy Johnson needs or Jeff Burton, because Logano, who's running 3rd, and Kyle Busch 4th, they do have the fastest pit crews, just the way it is.
Denny Hamlin, A.J. Allmendinger, both on pit road. Vince?
That's right, and you see the 11 of Denny Hamlin currently running in the top 10. Remember, they said that would be a victory for them today. They've been throughout the course of the weekend kind of all over the map, according to crew chief Mike Ford. Today, they've mainly been fighting a loose race car.
Get a load done off. Now he is down and away. That cost him about 2 extra seconds. 20 car on pit road. Joey Logano running in the top 5 in the last 100 laps. Minor air pressure adjustment for Logano. The car has been that good over the long run. He is down and away. Vince.
The 18 of Kyle Busch says he needs it to turn better. He's getting killed center off. They're making a track bar adjustment and 4 fresh ones for the 18 of Kyle Busch. Dave?
Jimmy Johnson lost the lead in this race in May by exiting the pit road too fast. You'll have to think about that as he does his final pit stop, in theory. Not many changes to it. He kind of left it up to Chad. He said, you want me to loosen it up? And Jimmy said, you know, it's really been pretty good. Obviously, he stayed out front. Smooth pit stop so far. And as they wait to finish up the fuel, he is gone. Jamie?
And Mark Martin, the drive of the day from 42nd position. Car is good now. The call is 4 tires. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel. And that'll be it for Mark Martin in the 5 car. Dave?
Jamie, Kurt Busch was challenging his brother for 4th place before this round of stops. They'll get a wedge adjustment there in the back, but also take that basketball out of the right front of the car. Still loose for Kurt, but a very fast race car here near the end. Carl Edwards is in as well, tight in the middle of the corner. Carl said, you know what, if we pit under caution the final time, I'd like to be loosened up for a little bit. But if we pit under green, let's not make any changes. So we'll see if there go any wrenches to the back of the car. Yes, they are going to make a change. Bob and Carl talked about it a little bit further. That's a track bar adjustment. Again, Carl saying just a little bit tight in the middle of the corner. 4 tire stop for the 99.
So as all the action on pit road sort of cycles through, Jimmy Johnson is back out in front. Jeff Burton is shown in 2nd place. And Joey Logano in 3rd. And as he comes by the stripe this time, there'll be 34 laps to go. And as of right now, we're waiting for NASCAR scoring to cycle through, but it looks like there'll be a total of 17 cars on the lead lap.
But Jimmy Johnson was able to actually stretch his lead by a couple of tenths on that last round over Jeff Burton. He had about a 1.7 before, now it's about 1.9.
And you know, try to win these championships, you have to do everything right as a race team. And we saw Jeff Gordon and them have problems with their pit stop. They went back outside the top 10 after this round of stops.
Let's go back and show you exactly what happened, and watch it on the right side here.
Yeah, the right front tire changer, I think he lost a lug nut. Cost him some time getting back to the left. See right here, having to pick one up, put it on. That just a killer under green. Has to come back here now and see he gets behind. Costs him a couple of 3 seconds on that pit stop and a lot of spots on the track.
So Jeff Gordon now finds himself in 12th position. And he's about 13 seconds behind the race leader, who happens to be his Hendrick Motors teammate, Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy has a 2-second lead over Jeff Burton, Joey Logano in third. They're all chasing the man with the scruffy-looking beard. Well, actually, it looks good. "25 laps to go here at the Monster Mile, and Jimmy Johnson trying to do exactly what he's done so many times in the chase, win on the track. He's got a 2.3-second lead over Jeff Burton. Of course, they're coming off last week's 25th place finish. We asked Chad Canals how to get over defeats like that.
As soon as we cross the start-finish line at an event, we are on to the next week. Obviously, you have to go and recap and get your notes and things organized and assess what happened the week before. But the majority of the races where we've even had bad finishes this year, we haven't performed poorly. So it's not like we have to really dig deep to try to find a problem or correct something that's occurred. It's been circumstantial.
And so far, they're doing exactly what they needed to do to rebound. In fact, let's go up to speed with Dave Burns.
And Marty, that backs up exactly the conversation I had with him this morning. He said, our goal is to finish where we've run. Well, they've run in the front all day today, so they're looking good that way. Another thing it backs up is last week they had a problem in the pits. I said, did you make any changes this week? He said, nope, but I am hoping for better performance. Now, they struggled a little bit early, but they've hit it the rest of the way, and the driver's done his job too. Jamie?
And behind him, Jeff Burton. Remember, Jeff Burton has had some success here. He won his first race for RCR back in 2006. And just last spring, here in May, he finished second. This car has come to life the last round of stops. No changes. 4 tires was the call as the car continues to get faster, Dave.
Well, what a recovery for Kurt Busch. I sat in the hauler this morning talking to crew chief Steve Addington. Roger Penske walked in, and I said, Roger, what do you like about the Steve Addington and Kurt Busch combination? He said, I think Kurt respects what Steve has done and what Steve understands about this sport. And certainly after Kurt pulled himself together, he's realized that the changes they made on that car have helped it work its way back to the front. Carl Edwards has run very well today. Right before, or actually right after that round of pit stops, he called in and said, what position am I in? Let's go get him. He got encouragement from Bob Osborne, his crew chief. And we'll see how many positions he can make up here before the end. It's been a good, solid day for the 99 bunch. Jamie?
And Cliff Boyer in the 33. His day has just gotten, his week has gotten from bad to worse. Early on, he got loose all by himself, tapped the wall. Then when he came in to fix it, he had a pit road speeding violation, and that set him back even more. He got down his match, asked 4 laps. He's gotten 1 back, 3 laps down for Cliff Boyer, who was the winner last week. Vince?
Well, Kyle Busch in the 18 car, he had led more than 400 laps here at Dover, but he never led in the fall race. He has today, but he's not going to finish where he would hope. He's led for a while, led 46, ran second for a while behind Jimmy Johnson, and now the 18 of Busch is down to 6th. The car just not turning through the corners the way he would like. Still, it's going to be a good points day for Kyle Busch. Now, his teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing is Denny Hamlin in the 11th. Hamlin, we told you before this race, had the worst average finishing position of any of the chasers here at Dover. That was 22.7. If they could finish in a top 10 position today, it would be like a victory, said crew chief Mike Ford. Right now, Hamlin is 9th. Doc?
We told you Jeff Gordon's team thought this might be the worst race for them in the entire chase. All they wanted to do was come here and get a top 10 and maybe get a top 5. They were there running in the top 10 comfortably until that previous pit stop. A problem with the right front lug nut cost them 3.5 extra seconds. Now they're showing in 12th position. Vince.
What a tough day it's been for the 16 of Greg Biffle. He's a couple of laps down, running in 20th. This was one of the tracks that they really felt like they could have a good finish. Crew Chief Greg Irwin told me earlier today, we need to have good finishes on the tracks we feel confident. This was one of those tracks. They're not going to get the finish they wanted. Doc?
And for Kevin Harvick, it was simply do what he did a week ago. Start at the back of the field, work his way toward the front, and get a top 5 finish. He did that. 33rd to the top 20, the top 15 to the top 10. Then the handle went away. Air pressure adjustment, track bar, nothing would bring it back. And now the car is been very, very loose. He has had his hands full. Kevin Harvick now being shown in 15th position. Another driver hoping to have a good run at one of his favorite racetracks is this guy right here in the 17, Matt Kenseth. Kenseth finished third here back in May. Thought he would have a top 5 car today, but early in the race, he jammed the brakes on, missed the entrance to pit road, cut that left front tire, and had to go 3 laps down. Is now being shown in 18th position. Jamie.
Well, Tony Stewart, what a heartbreaker last week after running out of fuel with 1 lap to go, which he says was his fault. He comes here, he started the race 25th. On the first round of pit stops, the call was to take right sides only. They were the only car to take right sides. That cost them severely. They lost a lot of track position. The handling has not been right the entire race. He's been 1 lap down, guys, just hanging it out, trying to get as many points as possible.
And what a difference a week makes. 1 lap away from winning that race to ending up 24th. Take a look at what it does to the points right now. Denny Hamlin would leave. Jimmy Johnson would pick up 4 spots. Harvick drops 3. And look at the guys 9th through 12th, 143 or more behind. That's going to be hard to come home. Jimmy Johnson has done exactly what he needed to do at Dover today. He is out in front. He has led the most laps, so he picks up the bonus points there. And his lead with 5 laps to go, 2 seconds over Jeff Burton, who's had a great run. Joey Logano running in 3rd, Kurt Busch 4th, Carl Edwards 5th. Kyle Busch has slipped back to 6th, so his chance to make history is going to have to wait for, well, at least another year. Right now, though, all chasers, all racers are chasing that guy as he is out in front and all alone. And after last week, remember, everybody said, "Ooh, well, maybe the door is open." But go back to 2006 when he had that disastrous race coming out of New Hampshire. He trailed by 139 points. He went on to win the championship. This year he comes back. He started this race 92 points behind, and he's doing exactly what he's needed to do, guys.
Yeah, and the team has done a great job adjusting the car, keeping him up front, good pit stops. They've really executed well today.
Yeah, they're showing today exactly what got them 4 straight championships. It's like they're on their march to try to make it a 5th. It's going to be a great battle, though.
2 laps to go. We've had only 4 cautions today. And while we're talking about Jimmy, let's also salute Denny Hamlin because he's done exactly what he's wanted to do. He's running in the 9th position.
Had a solid day. I mean, he hasn't done anything stellar, just what he needed to do. And if he gets that top 10, I think he'll be happy.
And he's going to keep the points lead if everything stays the same with the white flag out. 1 more mile to go for Jimmy Johnson. It will be his 53rd win in his 319th start. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Jimmy Johnson, 25th last week. But the drive for 5 is back alive because as he comes out of turn number 4, Jimmy Johnson's going to win chase race number 2. 2nd place, Jeff Burton.
Nice work, brother. Nice work. Maximum points today, buddy. The most laps led, win the race. Good job.
Yeah, man. Thanks, guys. Let's enjoy this. Take a deep breath. Absorb it. Come back to it again next week.
The team celebrates. You see Jeff Gordon managed to get around Mark Martin for 11th.
Can't do much more than that. Sit on the pole, lead the most laps, and win the race. He did a great job.
His 6th chase win from the number 1 starting position. His 6th win in 2010. That ties him with Denny Hamlin for the most in the season. And between Denny and Jimmy, they've combined.
You can't burn them tires off. Oh, don't dare me.
They've won 18 of the last 39 races between those two. And there they are, 1-2 in the points. Hamlin by 35 markers over that man right there, Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, they had a great day. A lot of the chasers had a great day. As I looked at the top 10, though, very impressed with Joey Logano, Paul Menard, and A.J. Allmendinger, who came back to finish 10th. Had a great run early on until they had a tire issue, but good runs for those 3 guys to finish in the top 10.
Jimmy's trying to burn him to the cords.
Kind of hard to do a burnout on this front straightaway because it's so banked. He found him a nice flat area to do it.
Let's check in with Dave Burns.
Yeah, Marty, the crew told him that the asphalt will make the best smoke, and I guess you'd agree after a day like today, pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that was awesome. You know, he wanted to put some smoke up here for our interview, obviously.
Yeah.
Man, what a great job. We showed up, we were a little bit off. We had to work on the car pretty hard. We really relied on Jimmy awfully hard for qualifying, and he did a fantastic job qualifying. And we had to work hard on the Cobalt Chevrolet to get it where we needed it to, but man, it was fast all day today. It wasn't easy on Friday and Saturday. It looked like we were pretty fast today, but we were pretty far off when we got here. So a lot of hard work by all of the guys. I can't say enough to everybody back in the shop prepping and everything, so we had the information we needed when we got here. You know, I'm glad Mr. Hendrick came here. I wish his mom was here with us. You know, I sent her some flowers a couple weeks ago, so I hope she's still enjoying those. But just going to be proud of this whole team.
Great comeback for the reigning champions this week, guys.
In 18 Dover starts, Jimmy's taken that checker flag around the track 6 times, and he's won 3 of the last 4 races here. And he reasserts himself right back into the championship hunt, picking up 4 spots in the chase. And let's talk to the guy who had a great run coming home in 2nd place, Doc.
Well, he might have had a handful. Just showing me his hand a moment ago. Look like he had some blisters, maybe some blood in that left hand, but you held on and did a heck of a job with this 31 car, Jeff.
Well, real proud of everybody. We had a good car all weekend. I didn't do a good job qualifying. I just cannot get qualified here, especially for some reason. But we'll keep working on it. But proud of everybody. Proud of Caterpillar and SKF and proud of Echo DC and just everybody that helps us. You know, it's been one of those years where we've been really good and haven't been able to capitalize. And we got 8 more chances, and hopefully we can start pulling the trigger.
Different line work for you today. I heard you were driving the car straight in and straight off, and it was helping you some.
Yeah, you know, we got one point there where I started driving the car like just straight in the corner and running right at the racetrack, and really like diving in the corner, really weird. I've never done that before here, and that got us going. But when we were our best, I could arc the corner like I needed to, and you know, the 48 was just really fast. They had a class in the field today. We put some pressure on them, but they just, you know, we could match them, but that wasn't good enough from where we were.
Jeff Burton finishing 2nd, gaining a couple of spots in the chase. Vince?
Well, Denny Hamlin brought it home top 10 today and keeps the points lead. In fact, it's a 35-point lead. That's the largest ever after the first 2 races in the chase. I know this isn't one of your better tracks, as you admit to, but what kind of day did you have today? Certainly a solid one, bringing it home top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent day. I mean, I said in my head today the number was 8. You know, we missed it by 1, but you know, it was a good fight for the FedEx team. We didn't have the best car today, but you know, we fought through and made something of it. So, you know, this is what we need to do to get by this weekend, and we feel like we can run with them from here on out.
How do you feel about your position as you head into some of these tracks that you consider to be your stronger suit?
Well, I feel good about it. I mean, it's you know, this is a huge obstacle for us. This track has bitten us in the chase for the last 4 years. So, you know, to get out of here with keeping the point lead at least, you know, I know those guys are charging, but this was our biggest obstacle we had to fight. From here on out, I feel like it'll be better.
Conquered it today, 9th place for Denny Hamlin, your points leader.
Well, and the good news is he has the points lead. The bad news is he has the points lead, because history shows in 6 prior chases, the guy who's had the lead coming out of Dover has never been the eventual winner of the championship.
Take it. Yeah. As a driver, you only look at those things when they're to your benefit.
All right, there's Jimmy, and let's go to Dave.
So it sounds like mission accomplished. Pole, lead the most laps, and win the race. After last week, Jimmy, what's that feel like?
It feels great. You know, last week didn't turn out how we'd want, but that's racing, and it's going to happen in the chase. I just can't thank everybody at Hendrick Motorsports enough for working as hard as they do. It just never quits. It never stops. And so thankful for engine shop, chassis shop, all the great guys that work on this Lowe's Cobalt car, all the great people at Lowe's and Cobalt Tools for their support. The fans and everything. I'm very, might not look all that excited right now, but there's this huge weight off of my shoulders that we were able to come and win a race in the chase, rebound from last weekend, and we're in the middle of this thing, and I'm really, really excited.
You're only 35 points back now in 2nd place, Jimmy. Yeah, that's good. I knew it'd be close. Somebody's getting soaked back there. It must be Knaus. You know, I'm excited about what we have ahead. Last weekend taught me anything can happen. I know Talladega's out there. We did a great job today. We're in the right position. But we got to keep this Impala fast and be there after Talladega. So that's the goal. So we did the best thing possible. Very, very excited about today. At some point, hopefully my wife and my daughter will show up.
I thought they might be here now, and I can't wait to celebrate this moment with them too.
And speaking of faces in victory lane, I mean, what's it like to roll in and get his smiling face, Mr. Hendrick, as soon as you enter victory lane?
There's nothing better. I mean, we've had a few frowns on recently because we've been getting our butts kicked, but this is a great track for us, and today we got the job done, and it's because of Rick's dedication to this race team and all the tools that he gives us.
You would never frown about the 48 team, would you?
No. I think a lot of people were counting them out, but boy, we were counting on Loudon in this race to really kind of give us that springboard we needed. But the man knows this place really well. It's a great day. Great day. I'm so proud of him. Good job.
I see some heels dug in down here. Watch out for the 48 guys.
Well, and Dave, the 16 had a pretty good day, too. Didn't finish quite the way they wanted. Finished to 6th today. Led laps for a while this afternoon. Remained 3rd in the points position, but you cut 17 into Denny's lead at the top of the standings. How would you take this one as just a good points day, or a little more frustrated?
Both. I mean, we're gonna take it. It was a good day for us, but man, we had a second place car. I thought that we had something for Jimmy with about 100 to go. I could gain on him, but I was just overdriving the car, and I figured, you know what, we got another pit stop left. Let's just wait and ride around here and relax a little bit. And after that, the car just built up a tight that I just could never get back out of the car. So unfortunately, the Interstate Batteries Camry was that good, but didn't finish quite where we wanted to. So overall a good day. I mean, the guys were solid on pit road. Everything went well. Communication and all was there. So it's a solid day. I mean, the average is going to be a 6th, but with our 9th, that doesn't quite give us what we want. So we were hoping for a 2nd or a 3rd today.
Still a pretty solid day for Kyle Busch. Let's go to Doc Punch. He's with Kyle's teammate, Joey Logano.
Thank you, Vince. A career-high 4th top 5 finish for Joey today. And, Joey, I was listening on the radio. You were battling about everything you could battle with a race car. Loose, push, turbulence on the car, wouldn't turn here. But Zippy and the guys did a heck of a job. How was the day from inside the car?
Yeah, I think that's typical stuff we battle every weekend. But, we started towards the back thanks to me in qualifying. And, the guys did a really good job getting my car good in practice. And had a really good car in happy hour. And just battled along all day and got the Home Depot Toyota really good. Just a little bit tight here, a little bit loose there, and just playing around with it. And our car was good. I don't know if it was good enough to win, but I felt like we were close, and I'm excited about that. I want to thank Home Depot, Toyota, all those guys. It's definitely a good run for us. We still got to work on our consistency. We wrecked last week. We finished 3rd this week, so we got to somehow figure out how we can do this week in and week out.
What a difference a year makes for Joey Logano. A year ago, he was tumbling down in turn 3. Today, he rolls in 3rd. At Dover. Let's check in with Jamie, standing by with Jeff Gordon.
Wow, Jeff, it's surprising to see you finish 11th and you still lost 4 positions in the points, considering what's been going on with the chasers today. Take us through your day.
Well, I mean, that's how you got to perform in the chase. You can't give up those positions, especially sometimes you come to a place like this and a bunch of the chase guys, really most places the chase guys are going to be up front. And first half of the race were pretty good. In the second half when the rubber laid down, man, we just really struggled. It was everything I do just hang on to, let alone finish 11th. So things didn't go our way there at the end, and we lost some extra positions and just held on for 11th. That's all we can do.
Looking forward to Kansas. Your thoughts?
Definitely. I love Kansas. I mean, we knew coming in here this was going to be a struggle for us, but we were up there in the top 5. We were maybe about a 7th place car. So we were wanting to at least maintain that, and we didn't. So now we go to Kansas and some other places that I think are much better tracks for us, and we got to capitalize on that.
All right, Jeff Gordon brings it home 11th today.
And the guy that brought it home 4th was Kurt Busch. He recovered from a pit lane speeding penalty early in the race. Had a pretty good car, gained a spot in the chase standings, cut into Denny's lead a little bit. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it was a great solid day for our car. I mean, our Miller Lite Dodge was money. And we just were hanging out top 5 and never got to restart on the front row. I thought like we had a really fast car with fresh tires. But my guys did an outstanding job here at the track, back at the shop. To have this effort come forth today, Dover was one of the tracks I was a little worried about. And we had a fast enough car to win. Just driver was speeding on pit road. So I cost us probably 10 points today. About 40 last week, so 50 points, man. I don't need to be doing that. I need to just have nice, solid runs each week, and today was a great day.
Yeah, I got to believe Kurt Busch is going to make up those points before it's all said and done. He cut into that lead of Denny Hamlin's by 27 points today. So just think, tell you what, things are tightening up a lot at the top, Alan.
Certainly, Vince. 4th place for Kurt Busch today and 4th in the standings after 2 of 10 races in the chase. The ladies made it to victory lane. Wife and daughter there to celebrate with Jimmy Johnson after he scored his 6th win of the season after leading almost half the race today at the Monster Mile. More post-race coming up. Well, the rain stayed to the west of the Monster Mile today, and as the fans file out, the hat dance is on in victory lane. Jimmy Johnson and team restaging the shower for the cameras for the photo as Jimmy celebrates his 3rd win in the last 4 events here at the Dover International Speedway. So after 2 of 10 races in the 2010 chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, here's how they look. Jimmy up to 2nd place, 35 points behind Denny Hamlin. You see the spread back through the top 5. Carl Edwards, 73 out in 6th position. And then some of the guys 100 plus out with a lot of ground to make up, including Tony Stewart down in 10th, 162 points back. Clint Boyer, by the way, remember that number of that minus 235, 150 points taken away from him by NASCAR. The penalty this week, the appeal hearing, is this coming Wednesday. Could move him up to just behind Jeff Gordon in the standings if somehow they get the penalty reversed on appeal. A.J. Allmendinger led a lot of laps today. Jamie wound up 10th.
Definitely one of the feel-good stories today. Led 143 laps combined. I think that's more than you've led in your career, AJ. What was it like leading for that many laps?
Well, I know why Jimmy Johnson smiles so much. It's fun to lead races like that. So, no, it was the Insignia Best by Ford was so fast. Everybody at Richard Petty Motorsports is building such great cars. Overall, it was a great day. Obviously, 10th is probably a disappointment for how we ran, but just to be up there leading that many laps so early and to have a 10-cent washer get inside the tire and make it go flat, and that just once you get 2 laps down, you got to fight your butt off to get back. So I'm proud to be inside the top 10. We know we could have been a little bit better, but hopefully we showed everybody that we're getting there over the last few weeks. It was a great day. I think Paul finished 7th, so 2 cars from RPM in the top 10. Really good day, but hopefully there's better yet to come.
You knew something was wrong with that right rear. How difficult was it for you just to pull off and come down pit road?
Well, I mean, it had to be a slow leak, you know, and we must have picked it up when we left pit lane, and the car just started getting looser and looser and looser, and driver optimism kicks in. That maybe the track's just loosening up, but about 5-6 laps before we pitted, I was about to wreck, and we knew we had to come down pit lane, and pit lane wasn't so bad, and the pit stop wasn't so bad. It was praying for no yellow, and then seeing that yellow come out that killed us, and after that, we just I had to drive my butt off. But I'm just proud of everybody back at the shop, here at the race team, and here at the racetrack. Just a great day, and we'll go get them in Kansas.
Went 2 laps down, ended up the day 10th. Alan?
Nice drive today for A.J. Allmendinger in the Petty 43. And so there are 8 races to go in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season. All of the remainder of the chase events shown there. Like to join us? Plenty of great options no matter where in the country you live. NASCAR.com/tickets or that telephone number. Come on out and join us at the racetrack as we see who's going to be the champion in 2010. Well, in the pit studio at the start of the day, we talked all about Clint Boyer's penalty and the appeal process with NASCAR. We talked about Denny Hamlin and one of his least favorite tracks. We talked about guys that struggled in New Hampshire that had some ground to make up, like Jimmy and Tony Stewart. Let's put a button on those. Clint Boyer, difficult day.
A tough day for him, no doubt about that. I mean, he got himself in the wall, a little driver mistake, I call it, and that pretty well put him out of it. But he just couldn't catch up at all today. But there's a lot of guys to be proud of. Jeff Burt, Jimmy Johnson, those 2 guys really got it done today.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, those guys really had good, solid runs today. Poor Clint Boyer, he's had a tough week, but you got to bounce back. You got to keep digging, do the best you can. But very good run by Jeff Burton. I was really, really proud to see old Jeff. He's a veteran, elder statesman of the group up front running tough.
And he'd hate you for calling him elder. Let's look ahead now. The next race, next Sunday afternoon, 1.5-mile track in Kansas City, Kansas. When you think about the race in Kansas, who strikes you as a favorite and who strikes you as maybe a concern?
You know, I think one of the guys getting ready to sit down next to us, Carl Edwards, is really good from up around that area. Clint Boyer's really good there. I started thinking about flat tracks, slick racetracks also. And Denny Hamlin comes to my mind right there. He's a good driver at that style of racetrack. But don't forget about Jimmy Johnson. Yep. He knows how to get around here, too.
Everybody, man. That's
so I gave you 5. How's that?
Jimmy Johnson will be tough next week. Yeah. All of our chasers look like they're going to be in the mix, so should be a great race.
So that is next Sunday at the Kansas Speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, as the chase moves out to the Midwest to see how things roll. Jimmy Johnson, remember the finish between Jimmy and Carl a couple years ago?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, absolutely. So next weekend, Saturday, the NASCAR Nationwide Series race is on ESPN2 starting at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Our coverage of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race on ESPN ESPN next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern. And don't forget, NASCAR Countdown is on ESPN2 starting at noon Eastern Time. Yes, Carl Edwards is in the house. He will be joining us as part of our continuing post-race coverage on SportsCenter. That's coming up next. We'll hear from the boys in the booth. We'll hear from some more of the top finishers, recap the race and highlights, and Carl will join us for his in-race reporter analysis. That is coming up next on SportsCenter with, again, our extended post-race coverage from here in Dover. Little family portrait with a trophy and a pit crew to go around. You got one of those at home, Rusty?
A couple of them.
Yeah, I thought so. Jimmie Johnson celebrating with his wife Shanny and his daughter and the rest of his race team after Jimmie showed the world the drive for 5 is very much alive as he dominated and won today here in Dover. SportsCenter is next. We'll talk to you from here in Dover in a minute.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our loyal fans for your continued support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.